Hi again, lads and lassies, and you Muppet. So thank you for joining us for Snatch, the super fun, ultra violent Guy Ritchie movie with some, I must admit, unusual cast in it. But
What do you mean unusual? Is it? The Dags? Tell the Dags.
Yeah. Considering the age of the movie, some of the characters were just starting out in the movies, but some were well established and unusual for this type of movie. Like, for instance, Mickey the Pikey.
Yeah, he had just come off of Fight Club when he did this movie, and he didn't. He was concerned he was playing a similar type character. Of course, he wasn't. But he really wanted to work with Guy Ritchie, so we got Mickey the Pikey, and Mickey the Pikey, and I'm very glad that we had him because he was a great character, very very cool.
Yeah, and he definitely liked his Parawak my blue.
Caravan, in a caravan. No, it's not the right one.
In a caravan, Parawak my blue. And it's the dogs. It's the dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The thing is,
they're always trying to work a dog into the deal.
I understood half of what he was saying. That was a part of it. Because yes, my family used to say that I sort of reverted back to typical Glaswegian because I brought my children up, I spoke properly, but every time I mixed with my family, I went back to talking normally. You know what I mean? So we would talk to the fast, and you know, there's Parawak blue, and if it's one, you know what I mean? But yeah, I loved this movie. Just there's so many bits in it.
Oh dear! All right, well, my other computer just went crazy. Sorry, it's not even the one that's hooked up to anything. It's the one I watch YouTube on while we do these things.
Yes. But do you know who Brick Tony is, Wendology? You know who Bullet Tooth Tony is, and you know who Mickey the Pike is. But who's Brick Tony? Brick Top, sorry, I'm getting Tony and all that back.
Oh dear. Oh, well, I might not be able to
watch yes, she got it. Yes, we can't hide it. So the only one that could actually get away with it was Alec, because I'm certainly not English. Mickey the Pikey, Roman, isn't English. So yes, we wouldn't get away with that for too long. Yeah. So,
in the words of the quiet, in the words of Virgin Mary, come again.
Alex is talking pikey.
Yeah, do you want to put my teeth in and try that again, son?
Might as well.
What were you saying? Trying to say? Sorry, what were you
in
trying
the quiet words of the Virgin Mary, come again?
Yes. And talking about banners, where is it? You should never underestimate the predictability of stupidity. There was some great quotes in this as well. Yeah, I mean, just like see that the thing is, see, the first time I heard it, I thought that's no new.
Yeah,
I used to say that. Do you want sugar Bricktop? No, I'm sweet enough.
I'm sweet enough.
I grew up
Bricktop is so good.
I grew up with my father saying that. I grew up with my father saying that all the time. I'm sweet enough. Since I was a kid, so you're talking about 50 years ago. My old man used to say that. But it's just one of those things. It still is a very quotable line because, we all recognise somebody who used to say that.
Here's another quote from Bricktop. I don't care if he's Muhammad, I'm hard Bruce Lee.
But even Boris was fun.
Oh,
Boris
the Blade.
He got chopped up, he got shot, he got stabbed, he got knocked down, and he's still up going, I'm fucking killed.
Go on, say the line.
What, you lucky bastard.
There you go.
Yeah. Wait a minute, sorry, I need to do it properly.
Okay.
Do it properly. Yeah, I'm bulletproof, Tony. Do you know the only difference? Mine says replica across the barrel. Whereas mine says Desert Eagle 5.50. And I just like to part it was just so well directed because when it says yours says replica down the side, it went zoom into the gun and you see it etched in. You didn't need to do that, but it's sort of
it really popped the moment. Guy Ritchie is good at that. I like his cinematography because it's very unique. It's very him. You know when you're watching a Guy Ritchie movie because the way the scenes are shot, even in his more modern pictures like Wrath of Man, you still know it's a Guy Ritchie film by they have the multi-perspective kind of thing when they're you're seeing the same scene from several different angles, from several different points of view. Well, it's like when the Boris the Butcher got hit by the car. You saw that in the background in a few minutes or a few seconds earlier from another perspective, and then they put the whole thing together, and that's a freaking hilarious scene just anyway.
Yeah, it's so well done. Like for instance, the fight scene at the end.
Yeah,
you knew what was going to happen, but still, it's done in such a way that things out of sequence happen out of sequence.
Yeah,
but it still makes the story correctly. Like for instance, the bit where you were just saying about Boris getting knocked down. Before he got knocked down in the background, he got knocked down in the foreground, and then they sat and watched him get knocked down after it happened in the background. So you saw him get knocked down 3 times, but you knew exactly what was happening because it was from the perspective of the first car with Saul in it, and basically bang, and it and then the bit where Tommy throws the milk out the window, you hear and then
they're
in the car with Bullet Tooth, and then he throws it basically something lands in the window and boom. See, the crash happened 3 different times, and it was all out of sequence, but it's shot in such a way that it's quite well in because you understood why it's shot. You're seeing the thing 3 times, and it's just so well done. I love the movie for the wee bits. The only criticism in that part I saw was I can't remember what was his name, the big guy in the back of the back seat.
Tyrone?
No, that was the colour guy in the back seat with the with Saul in that. It was the one with Bullet Tooth and the American.
No, you want Frenchie, wasn't it? No,
I can't remember, but he's looking at he's looking at the sword, and the sword is a big sword because you see
that's right.
Bullet Tooth going with it, and then they crash, and then suddenly it's through him, and I'm sitting there thinking, no, it didn't work that way because the sword, he's holding the sword like that, so to get it through him, he would have had to pull it right across the front of the 2 of them for it to go into him. It just, I would have preferred if he was there and he had no head and his head had popped off because he was holding it sort of like that because it was quite cramped in the back. I think it would have been better that way, where he just looked round and basically the arms are standing up with the sword, and there was no head. It would have
that would have totally worked in the context of the film as well. It wouldn't have been absurd.
It was just that bit where it leans back and the sword's right through him. Considering you saw him sort of struggling trying to lift it up, how did you find that way too?
His name was Rosebud.
Yes, Rosebud. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, Rosebud. Because I was sitting there thinking, is he a Citizen Kane?
He had some really. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I was going to say, and I've got to say, it's like 2 plots rolled into one with this. You got the fight and you got the diamond.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it starts how it finishes.
Yeah.
With just Turkish telling the story.
Yeah.
I love that. I love his narration. It's just so good.
Yeah, Rosebud.
So a couple of days ago,
Rosebud is the last word said in the movie. Sorry. And Rosebud is the last the word said in the movie as Citizen Kane dies. His hand goes in the globe, sort of falls down the stair, and his last words is Rosebud.
That stupid sled. I am not a fan of Citizen Kane. You may not have gotten
everybody says it's a great movie. I think it's a mediocre movie. It's just
if you want to go to sleep, Citizen Kane is the movie for you.
It is of its time. It was, I suppose, it was groundbreaking, but it wasn't a great movie. It was just unusually, because it was having a go at the elites and how corruption.
Yeah, it was. Who was it supposed to be? It was actually supposed to be a real guy, yes. But they didn't want to use his name, and I'm forgetting who it was because I'm old. But yeah, that's what it was. It's like if they made a movie about the Orange Man.
So basically, what they were doing is it was groundbreaking because they were actually basing it on a real character that people knew who it was meant to be, but they couldn't use it. So they and it was to show the corruption behind it. And that's why it was groundbreaking and such an iconic.
Uh-oh. I think we lost him.
Unique movie of the time. However, you can't imagine making a movie like that now because there'd be too much corruption in it. There would be nothing getting done.
Oh, yes.
But, so I love the casting in this as well. I mean, you had people who you have Jason Statham, Brad Pitt, but then Benicio del Toro as Frankie Four Fingers.
Yeah.
Four Fingers.
Right.
I would love it when they would talk about gambling and you'd have the wheel spinning and the dice rolling.
Yeah.
That was great.
And what does happen to him? He ends up with a tea towel over his head.
Tea cozy.
Yeah,
a tea cozy, not a tea towel. It was a tea cozy.
Right. Dennis Farina.
Hands up, who did you know what a tea cozy is? You know what a tea cozy is, I'm assuming.
It's something you put over a teapot to keep it warm.
Yes, correct. It's a material thing that you put over it.
And I just want you to know, every time we do one of these shows, I prep with a cup of tea. So I actually drink the tea before we do the show. No, I don't put a kettle on because I live in the modern
usually
world,
before I'm doing the show, I'm eating my dinner, and I was eating it just beforehand. Not that I'm actually a geek and I have things like that you would have when a kids, but
I have an exterminate mug. Yeah,
I've got plenty of those mugs up there because I've got that many. Half of my mugs are up on my shelf.
Oh.
I've also got the plate for that, and I've got the Star Trek one. That's super. I've also got my tray, which is the TARDIS tray. I've got also other types of mugs and plates and stuff like that. I've got teapots up there as well as. So yes, I do like my cup of tea.
I'm looking down at my list here, and it's the one that caught me in the movie because I kept looking at Mickey's mom. And I'm like, where the F do I know her from? It's from the Father Brown Mysteries.
Yes.
And I'm like, she looks so familiar. And then I clicked on her name and I'm like, oh my God, she's in Father Brown, except it's 22 years later. And that's that explains so much. Mrs. McCarthy on Father Brown.
Yes, that's
right. plays Mickey's mom. And it's funny because her name listing in the credits is just Mum O'Neill. That's it. It's not.
But yeah, I do love the Father Brown. I actually like the classic Father Brown as well. I've got them as well as the ones with Mark Williams.
I've only seen the modern ones. I didn't even know there was another version, but now that I do,
there was an old version as well. It's basically very similar to. Remember in the States, it's Father Downing. The Father Downing.
Oh, yeah.
That was basically them doing a version.
Okay, so it was it's like our version of The Office, except they did it with the guy from Happy Days.
The one that played Bosley as well. It was Richie's father, Mr.
Yes,
Cunningham.
Mr. Cunningham. And
Yes.
you know, another interesting casting choice in this, because it caught me off guard because I didn't remember he was in this, was Lennie James as Saul. So Lennie James, I know him from The Walking Dead. That's the only thing that I knew him in. I think I've seen one other film with him in it, but I'd completely forgotten he was in this film. It was a minute before I saw it, and then I rewatched it a couple nights ago. I was like, oh my god, that's
yeah. You also had Ewen Bremner. He was basically he was in the most recent one I watched him in was Welcome to the Jungle with The Rock and Scott Michael Williams, is it? Welcome to the Jungle. It's about The Rock being and who else was in that?
I've not seen that one.
And what do you call him? Oh, Jesus God, his name's sitting right in the top of my head. I keep on going to say Warren, but it's not Warren. He did the dance. Remember, he's a famous actor. Malkovich. No, is it Malkovich? No, it's not. It's no Malkovich. Come on, who is in that? Basically, the guy who did the dancing. He's a famous actor, but somebody got him to do a dance, and he basically just walked down dancing to the song. Oh,
I bring nothing to the table here.
Right, I need to actually find this. And his name is, as soon as I see him, a picture of him, it's going to go, boom, that's him. Oh. Right, so I need to find Welcome to the Jungle. Because they basically, anyway, it's Ewen Bremner was in it. He played the pilot in that, but he's in this. He's the one that gets his head caught in the door by Tony driving down the road. That part, and he was also in Trainspotting. So he was. That's Ewen.
You're not talking about Christopher Walken, are you?
Christopher Walken. Every time I was going to say it was Warren, I'm sitting there thinking it's no Warren. Walken. That's it. Christopher Walken. He was in Welcome to the Jungle, and he played the bad guy in it. The Rock was good in it as the good guy, and then you had Ewen Bremner playing the crazy pilot, and he also talked very like Mickey the Pike. So he did. He had an Irish accent. He was a really strong Irish accent. You just know what you're doing by that. You know what I mean? And you're sitting there thinking, he's actually just rewatched one of the earlier movies, and he's using Brad Pitt, isn't there? But that's Welcome to the Jungle. We definitely need to do that one day. That's a good movie.
I've got to say, it is unusual for Brad Pitt playing that type of role.
Actually, it's not as unusual as you think. He did a role very similar. He played a druggie. Basically, he was a surfboarder, and he was always high. And he was just sharing a couch. And he basically every time somebody went in, it was a similar idea. He was just sort of in the peripheral.
Hmm. No, but I'm just talking about is that it's not like an American setting.
It's not what you expect of Brad Pitt, but it's not unusual for him. That's the thing. Hmm. It's just people automatically assume certain things with Brad Pitt. But
he's done a couple of roles.
He's done.
What was it? California with the K, where he was like a wacko killer dude. Then of course Fight Club, which is still one of my favorite roles from him. There was a time I didn't like him for a long time. I always thought he was just kind of pretty boy actor, and then he wasn't, and it just everything just kind of fell in place. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. Oh, he still does pull off those roles now and again, but he for me he just kind of grew a lot.
And another thing is he's not like a love interest or anything like that, is he?
He can play those type of things.
He can play those types. You don't see him in that type of role these days.
Not as much now.
Yeah,
I'm actually trying to remember that movie because it's another gangster type, but he just plays a stoner in it.
Yeah. Oh! He's on the couch. He's always on the couch.
That's the one.
It's coming.
I'm actually looking through to see if I can actually find it, because as soon as I see it, I know what it is. It's the one with Eddie Murphy. Blofeld, or is it something like...
Damn it all.
I've got Blofeld in, or it's something like that with Eddie Murphy playing the geeky guy who looks like a big actor, and they're trying to get a movie made, and he's the
Blowfinger.
Bowfinger,
that's it.
Bowfinger.
Yeah, no,
that's the one. I've got that one. And Eddie Brad Pitt plays the stoner sitting on the couch all the time in the background, and he's really good at it. And yeah, he was really good in Seven as well.
Oh, Seven. That's another one.
What's in the box?
Seven is a tough movie to get through.
Yeah. And also he was good. He was good in World War Z as well.
I love World War Z.
It was an unusual one because it wasn't he didn't play the typical hero like the War of the Worlds, what you call him, Tom Cruise, where at the end of it he got all his family back together and everything was fine. Whereas in this one he got his family. And the only reason he got his family is because he had to do really scary shit, like for instance, test the stuff on himself and open the door to see if they would attack him. And it was really well done. But you can't imagine another good guy who is trying to do that for his family, putting himself in that position and being believable about it. Whereas he just was so, I want to get back to my family. I'll do fucking anything just to check it, just to give me the chance. Whereas you can imagine other movies, similar idea. Like I said, the Tom Cruise one, it was a case of, how did everybody survive and back at the house at the same time? Does it make sense? So the movie sort of contrived how they all survived. Whereas this one, his family was not in danger. They were on the aircraft carrier. And the only danger they had
but then they got kicked off the aircraft carrier.
The only danger they were was from the Americans that he couldn't do anything about. So the fact that they dumped them all on an island, he had no control over that. So what he was doing didn't affect how his family were treated. And
not at that point.
About it was the two things were completely different, and it worked because he was trying to do everything for his family, and basically it didn't matter what he did. His family was going to get treated the way he did because of the authorities who ran the boat. So if he
hasn't worked with Guy Ritchie again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been 22 years. I'm just surprised they haven't done another collaborative piece.
I didn't like Fury because
it took me a couple watches to get through it.
See, do you know the part of it is, I don't like about certain movies? I don't mind alternate history, but the way they do it is if it's not an alternate history right up until the end, and you're sitting there thinking, no, if it's an alternate history, show it's an alternate from early on, not just at the last 5 minutes when they break in and machine gun Hitler out. It's things like that. I just don't like.
That was Inglourious Bastards.
You're thinking Inglourious Bastards.
So am. Fury,
which I also really liked.
Fury was the one about the tank, wasn't it?
That's a tank movie. That's a dirty, gritty, uncomfortable movie.
I can sort of remember. I don't think I've only ever seen that once. The Inglourious Bastards, that was the one I was thinking about. Yeah, that was the alternate history one. I think Fury obviously just didn't grab me. It's one of those. Yeah, I would rather sit and watch my box sets of DVD tank battles than watch a movie about tank battles, because sometimes I think the movies just look too simple. The things but the problem is, see it with a movie like Fury, you've got. They've got the tanks have got their armor, and I ain't talking about metal armor. I'm talking about their movie armor, because there's certain things that they survive that you knew fine well that nope, a German tank might survive that, but an American or British tank would not survive that, because if a shell hit it, it wouldn't go doing. It would do it in a German tank, but if a shell hit it, it would just go boom. That's why Shermans were called, the Germans used to call them Tommy Cookers. Because they get hit, it exploded, and it was the same way a lot of them British tanks is because of the way they had the fuel casings. It was all at the back. They hit them at the back, they would explode, and nobody had a chance. Whereas the German tanks, the armor was so thick, it would unless you were right behind them, it did do a lot of damage. And that's where I think it's Slit Fury. You see it getting hit and it doing.
Yeah, I've never seen Fury, but I'd rather watch Battle with a Bold. Thank you very much.
Oh, Battle with the Bold! Now you're talking good classic.
Yeah.
But I've seen Fury once, so I can't really comment too much about it. I would need to.
You know who couldn't fit in a tank? Would have been Tyrone.
Yeah.
He couldn't get in the car.
You know the
scene of him getting out of the car was so fucking funny.
It's funny because he's the getaway guy. How can he get away from anything? He can move when he wants to, and then they show him getting got with the two guys, and he's running, and they actually superimpose it with the rabbit with the two dogs chasing him.
Oh yeah, that was a freaking hilarious scene.
I like that bit where was it Bricktop takes the lads into the front entrance or the front, and they're ready to carve them up, and there's Tyrone in a body bag already.
And you know the worst part of that, Goldie, the guy Goldie played, he's the one, he just got brought in to chop up a body, and then suddenly he's going to get chopped up for robbing that he had nothing to do with. And you're sitting there thinking, but the thing is, after that part, you don't see him again. He's obviously like, fuck it, I'm off. So the guy, Goldie, what was, is it Abe he played?
I think so.
But he was only in it to cut up the body, and then he basically, Top walks in and he goes, you know, I do. And it's almost a case of, shite, I walked into this. It was just the whole look of him, it was just funny. That's what it was, I must admit. I did enjoy this movie. There's so many bits.
And the dog stuff.
Ooh.
The dog stuff in the car.
The dog with
where Tyrone, he's like, don't let that dog drool on my car. It's like, it's not your car. It's a stolen car. Well, I'm driving it, so it's my car.
Well, I'm in it. It's my car.
And the dog eats the squeaker toy. And it's just...
Now, I've got to say, Bullet Tooth Tony's entrance was brilliant.
Yes. Nothing to do with the fact that he's walking by and all those ladies. It's the guy here. And he's still alive. He comes out with a sword.
Yeah, I know, but he's right. You got Bullet Tooth Tony, right? He's using the car door, which is like a repeat to Lock, Stock, 2 Smoking Barrels, slamming this guy's head in the door. Next thing you know, phone rings, and what does he say? Bonjour.
I know, he leans in.
Yeah.
Goes, bonjour. But I don't know, there's just so many parts of this movie. When I was watching it again today, I'm sitting there thinking, I forgot about that bit. I forgot about that bit as well. I forgot about that bit.
And even smaller scenes, like with when Doug the Head is talking to his daughters. We heard you, Dad.
3 times. I heard you, Dad. Yes, you did. I heard you, Dad. 3 times. And it's the fact is, as you said, it's just a small scene. It doesn't really mean a lot. And that is...
But it's just so good.
A comedian he is.
Yeah, Mike Reid.
Mike Reid is a comedian. He's been in the soap EastEnders for a while. But he effectively started up as a stand-up comedian. So he did. He's been in other movies in the past, but he's just so well.
Yeah. And you think he's not Jewish?
I know. He wants to be. But it's the fact is he's walking along the road and the 4 boys. It's just like, you could just imagine them with baseball hats back to front, and it's the 4 Jewish boys. It's a free country. Well, it's not a free shop. Fuck off.
Yeah, no, that was hilarious.
But it was just, you can imagine in any other place. So if it was like in America, you'd be four kids with baseball caps. If it was in Scotland, you would just see 4 guys with t-shirts smoking and back off and all that. But it's in a Jewish community, you get 4 Jewish boys back off. It was just so well done.
Can I tell you something? I've been down that road so many times, and I know that jury shop like anything. You even got people having their photos taken outside it, for Christ's sake.
And the guy coming out going, back up.
Never trust a farm with pigs. They go through bone like butter.
Yeah, I know. Oh. But it's just so well done. And
yeah. I'm trying to find that.
Yes, not to be confused with Mike Reid, the radio presenter. Mike Reid. See if you do it. Yeah. There is, it's basically, the good thing is Mike Reid was always funny, and he could act, which we all knew beforehand.
Yeah.
But you can actually find him on YouTube, believe it or not.
Oh yes, his stand-up comedy routine.
Yeah, I ain't going to show it this time because the last but I'll show you.
Like to get through the whole broadcast without.
We'll show you afterwards, right?
No, I'll show you a screenshot of it. Oh well. So that's Mike Reid there.
Okay.
Right, basically Mike Reid at the London Palladium. That's him doing his stand-up routine. And I'm going to keep that on because I'm going to watch that later on. But
another one of the scenes that I loved during the film was when Saul and Vinnie are trying to rob, with Tyrone is the driver, of course, are trying to rob the fight. Do you know whose fight he sees? And then they all the windows close down and they're just trapped. Oh, and then they can't get out because the door's secured. And then Tyrone just opens it. Like, what's going on here?
There's 2 parts of that. It's hilarious. The part he just puts the gun over and says, "Oh, nothing." Says, "No, but there's no money." And then she just goes, "Boom," and it goes, "Boom," and then he turns around and you hear, he turns around and he's caught in the trap. He's caught in the things went up and caught him at it, and he's going, "It's hard to hurt."
And all they have is a bag of change. To show for this,
which he dropped, but it was the fact is, yes, he's built the door, and it's they open the gate, and Tyrone pushes it home because they're trying to push it from the inside instead of pulling it. Basically, it's jammed, we're stuck, and then they take their masks off and look up at the camera.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they're watching the video, they're like, okay, I don't know. And then Tyrone. Tyrone.
You know who I am. And then when Tyrone's got him, and he says, "Would you expect me to do they set the dogs on me? Of course I'm going to tell."
What about that scene where, right, they've lost Gorgeous George, right? And Brooktop comes out with, well, where do you lose him? He ain't a set of a fucking car, is he?
What do you mean you lost him? But even the fact is, when they're blagging the bookies,
that woman behind the counter.
They basically reverse, and he goes, "How did you not see it? It was a funny angle." He says it was behind you. When you're reversing, things appear behind you. And the thing is, the guy they're looking for, they've locked in this.
Is in the van. Poor Freddie Four Fingers.
And he's like, and then when Tyrone's driving away, Freddie Four Fingers come out and he stops and grabs him and puts him.
What are you doing?
And the thing is, as well, I'm sitting there thinking, they just cut his arm off to get it. Why didn't you just actually cut the handle off?
No,
I was thinking that the whole time, but that wouldn't have been nearly as dramatic.
It wouldn't have been. But also the fact that he's cut his hand off and he cut it off at the thick bit, so he handed it up. And
Boris wasn't messing around.
And
Boris just carries a cleaver around with him in a little like a sheath.
But the thing is, he wrapped it in newspaper first because
like a fish.
And then he cleans his hand with it. And I'm sitting there thinking, why did they cut it up there? Why didn't they cut it here? So he's cut it here at the fat bit. Why didn't he cut it here at the bit where it was actually on? You're sitting there thinking, it makes no sense, except the fact it's fucking hilariously funny. The fact that he's wrapped up like a fish and he just walks out with it. there's just so many funny bits. It's the same as when Saul and you and they get the phone call from he's here, and then they go boom. He goes, but he's not. Hello, he's not alone. He's been dumped in the boot of the car, but he didn't start off as somebody's already got him. All he said was he's here. So they rush to get him. And I liked a bit where Tommy and Turkish chat the door. I'm going to fucking that gun didn't work. And I'm sitting there thinking, did they sell him bullets?
Click.
Is that why he's not working? Like, exactly. Yeah. And then they're going, I'm going to do this, now I'm going to do that. And you're thinking, well, he's already dead. And who comes up the door? And he just goes, Turkish, grab. Boom. And it's just, there's so much of this movie. You are just hilariously funny.
I know.
Yes, violent as hell. It's not one for people who don't like violence. For instance, I could not recommend this to my father-in-law.
How the hell did Jason Statham keep a straight face for all those scenes? I don't know.
I know. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those things. How many I would have liked. I'm actually going to dig it out again and actually look through to see if there's any deleted scenes or outtakes on the DVD. Because just imagine some of the outtakes. Because not everybody on it is at the top of their game. Because like Jason this is his second movie, because he did Lock, Stock first. But he'd done 3 music videos prior to any movies. Then he did Lock, Stock, he played Bacon, and then he played Turkish in this. That was his second movie. So considering this is where he started doing the British gangster movies.
He was solid.
And then
he doesn't really do any tough guy stuff in this either.
Yeah.
Most of his scenes are just talking.
And the bit when he is tough, he just takes out a baseball bat, hits 2 guys, and then somebody nicks it from him behind, and then he's about to get chopped up. But in that, how many times will somebody watch it and think, a big fight scene? And it's not. But the thing is, you've also got Vinnie Jones, a footballer.
I know.
So the one that played Bullet Tooth Tony is a footballer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's a footballer, and he's played in a couple of movies.
Yeah, because he was in Lock, Stock as well.
Yes, he was in Lock, Stock as well.
That's what I think that was what kickstarted his acting career, being in Lock, Stock.
Yeah, and he's played other movies where he's played Psycho, because he's obviously got that attitude around him. He also, the remake of Mean Machine. There was a remake of Mean Machine called the one with there was 2 remakes of Mean Machine.
Yeah.
You had the original one with Burt Reynolds.
And Adam Sandler did one.
And then you had Sandler did one.
Oh, The Longest Yard. The Longest Yard?
They called it The Longest Yard.
Is that, that's what I know it as.
Yes, but do you know why it was called The Longest Yard? Because there was a British movie, a remake of the Mean Machine called Mean Machine here, and it was all about soccer, as you call it. But we call it football. Or football, as some people.
Yes, the game that no one scores in, that can go on for 7 hours, and it can end in a tie.
No. Nobody can score in, but 45 minutes each way, and if you're lucky, you get a 30-minute extra time, and if it's a league or something like that, you get penalties. However, but it's 45 minutes each way. And you can end up with no score draw.
Soccer.
Right, man, you got to go to a football match if you ever get over here.
But the basic thing is, they obviously got the opportunity to remake Mean Machine over here, so it was the British prison system and against the guards, and it's a similar idea. Wasn't as good as the Burt Reynolds one. Then the Adam Sandler, and that's why it's called The Longest Yard, and it's because it's a remake of Mean Machine, but Britain's got an opportunity to remake the Mean Machine, so they couldn't call it the same thing.
The thing about Vinnie Jones, he was a tough guy. He was like a wild card, was it? In Wimbledon, and going to play a tough guy role in an acting career, it just goes to show that he can't shake that loose, can he?
No, because see, when he was playing football, he was the type of guy, if you tackled and he didn't like it, he'd be up in your face and you. But he had the tough guy persona on the football pitch. So that's why he got those roles, and he obviously can do them so well.
I know.
There's nothing wrong with being typecasted if that's really what you're built for. You know, stay in your box, and that's something some actors don't do. They try to expand on what they do, and they don't do other things well, and then they end up back in the similar role.
And we are aware that there is some out there they can turn their hand to anything.
Yes,
because you look at Jason Statham, he basically could do the British Cockney gangster sort of comedy, and then he can actually go on and do a good action movie. There's certain people who can get away with changing streams, as it were, but on the whole, I think Jason Statham, if he's trying to do a movie now and he doesn't do the action, I think people will go, "Oh, it doesn't look right." Whereas he started off as one and went into that, and it sort of works.
Well, Dennis Farina in this, who plays what is it, Avi? Cousin Avi. He's playing the classic Dennis Farina part. He's just a Jewish gangster instead of an Italian gangster. But it's literally the same role.
I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, they got an American gangster mainstay to play an American gangster. It's the same idea with Bricktop. They got a British gangster mainstay to play a British gangster, and it worked.
You know, I don't like leaving my country. I have to leave my country. Something bad is really going to end. I love that. Then the plane scene.
Right.
They've got with small box. We've got beaches. Who the fuck wants to see them?
Roman, you've got to say the line when I say it. Right, sir. Have you got anything to declare?
Oh, God. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry. It's not that not going to do it. I can't do it. I don't have this one memorized. I'm sorry. I'm a failure as a man.
Have you got anything to declare? Yes. Don't go back to England.
I've seen this movie. I saw it when I was younger, like when it came out, like when I still had a full head of hair and no gray. And then I hadn't seen it for probably decades decade and a half, maybe. And then, like I said, the other day was the first time I'd seen it in a very long time. And I was glad that I did. It's just that I was like, I don't have the quotes stuck in my head anymore, though.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The thing is with this movie, I've seen it I saw it when it first came out, and I've watched it a couple of times when it was on the TV. It was always on late on or whatever.
Yeah.
Then I got a chance I got the DVD, and I must have watched it in the last 5 years. I must have watched it at least once a year.
I don't think this film's going to be repeated on TV very much.
Not now.
No. I haven't seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. I've seen it. But I couldn't tell you the last time I seen it, so I couldn't tell you a thing about it. It'd be like watching it for the first time.
The
Gentleman I actually liked that. I thought it was pretty good with Matthew McConaughey and the marijuana, the big marijuana trade.
Do you know there was 3 movies I think are in this genre are all sort of sit together? It's Snatch, Lock, Stock, and
was that Rock and Roller? Was the other one?
No, Rock and Roller's good, but it was Layer Cake.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. That was it. And that was that Guy Ritchie as well, or was it not?
No, that was Matthew Vaughn.
It wasn't.
Matthew Vaughn produced Lock, Stock, and Snatch.
Because it could have been a Guy Ritchie film, but I didn't think it was. But I like that movie a lot as well.
They sort of are very similar to each other. That's what I mean. Those 3 always remind me of like a trilogy. If I was getting a trilogy and those 3 were in it, I would think, that sort of works. Definitely. Whereas like things like Rock and Roller or Aces High are good movies of a similar genre, but they don't sort of sit in that nice wee bundle.
Gotcha.
But Layer Cake is another one I like. Similar, it's the same idea. If you like this, you like that. I would recommend Layer Cake as well. Same as I would recommend Lock, Stock, and anybody that's not watched Snatch, I would recommend all 3 of them. And 3 of them in the same sitting would be perfect because you would just see the similarities between the 3 of them.
Yeah,
which I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm actually in the middle of watching it at the moment. 2 things: Ancient Aliens and The Curse of Oak Island. And The Curse of Oak Island.
What was the second one?
The Curse of Oak Island.
I've not heard of
It's
that.
on season 9. It's basically there is an island up north in Nova Scotia where there's a legend of gold, and the legend is 7 must die before it's been found, and 6 have already died. Will they find it? So there've been 9 seasons and they've still not found it.
Wow.
It's one of those things, and you're not going. You know they're not going to find it this year because there would have been a big report. The lost treasure of Oak Island has been found. It's never appeared in the news, but you know they're not going to find it. It's all about the search.
Yeah, it reminds me of a certain Japanese anime that's been going on for so long, and you think, are they ever going to find this treasure?
Yeah. It is one of those ones, but it's not so much the fact that you're expecting them to find the treasure. It's what they're having to, all the hoops they're jumping through for the search, and some of the things are going, oh, we've found this, and this is actually could be this from the 1700s. And you're sitting there thinking, that's a bit of wood. It's that type of thing. So they're basically taking something and they're actually sort of, it'd be like watching
Time Team?
No. Time Team is slightly different.
Right.
It'd be like watching, what was the crab fishing one?
Deadliest Catch?
Deadliest Catch. See right at the beginning. It was an unusual movie, a TV show about that, and then it went to the point where the people who it was about, one of them passed away, other ones came in, the younger guys came in, and it just wasn't the same, because when they're actually talking about them and how you're sitting there thinking, you've seen older people with boats that are not as modern doing this. Do you think we're going to be as thingy about these young guys who have been doing it? Right. It's that type of thing. So you've got guys who have been doing it for 30 years in this older boat, whereas you're getting newer young guys coming in and they've got newer equipment and all that. It's not the same. And it's the same.
No, the novelty wears off pretty quick.
Yeah.
You get a couple seasons and then it's just like, oh, good, they're still crabbing. I didn't want to say they were catching crabs. That's a whole different thing.
Yes.
But come on, that was good.
The thing is, it's the same with Oak Island. It's all to do with the search, and they sort of seem to be, oh, I think it's gold. This is a top pocket thing. You're sitting there thinking, you said that the last 14 times you've found something. It's not got the same, but it's you still want to see more, because they're jumping through more hoops, because the government are turning around and saying, no, you can't dig there now, you can't dig there. They're saying, right, we'll work with you. Oh, look, we've found this. They'll say, oh, good, you found that. You can't dig here anymore. Why the hell would that actually report anything if you're going to constantly make it narrower and narrower? So all the land we've bought, you're telling us we can't dig in. And it's getting to the point where you're sitting there wondering why the hell they're continuing, apart from the fact is they've thrown millions of their own money into it. And you can understand why they're not going to go, we're out, because they've thrown so much into it. They're just, it's one of those issues. And as long as the company's giving them money that they can funnel into it, are they going to actually give up? No. And that's the thing. But that's completely different. But I've been watching Curse of Oak Island, and I've been watching Ancient Aliens again. It's the only reason I'm watching Ancient Aliens, believe it or not, boys and girls, is because for some reason I'm up at 276 subscribers. So my subscriber count is
you're going through the roof.
Yeah,
that's
and
awesome.
the last week I've gained 50 new subscribers.
Wow! Congratulations.
It's all to do with Right Said Fred, Bernard Cribbin. And it's basically, I've had over 5,000 views in the last 2 days on that one video alone.
Oh my God.
So my 276 subscribers, nearly 90,000 hours viewed across my channel. So exactly, I'm sitting there going,
wow. Yeah.
So basically, so I've been watching, because I said at 1,000 I'm going to actually do not a conspiracy theorist one, but one of the paranormal type shows, because I like all those type of things. I like the ancient aliens, the Egyptian stuff, the Atlantean stuff, all that. That's why I used to love watching Nerdrotic and Doomcock doing theirs.
Oh,
and then they
back in
stopped
the
it.
day.
Yeah, back in the day. So I just wish there was somebody that still does that. You can watch all these things in different channels, but I like somebody who you just talk about things interested, or not right down to the minutiae that, yes, if you look at this, and you're sitting there thinking, that's too much detail. We just want to talk about it in general. Whereas Doomcock and Gary used to talk about different things, and they would just talk about what they know about it, not a case of that I've written this book, and in this book it says this, and this book says that.
Right.
Don't want to go into that much detail. I just want to actually chat about it. It's the same idea as we chat about a movie. Whereas if we went into the movie and we actually started doing it line by line by line and try to discuss what this line meant in this particular... No, we just actually talk about the shape they actually did and how fun it was. Like, for instance, how good would be certain one of those characters. There's some characters that I don't like the actors.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't matter. It made zero difference because their characters were freaking amazing. And that's the thing is, if you can actually build a character that it doesn't matter if we don't like you out with it, the character's fantastic.
Well, there were a lot of characters in this as well.
Oh God,
yes.
This wasn't like a 5-character movie. This has a ton of characters,
and they actually
all of them
introduced
are
them all
interesting.
at the beginning. It introduced them all, a lot of them at the beginning as well. It's basically introduction, so it didn't give you the actor name. It just went Turkish, Tommy, and Bricktop, and it just did that and just a wee picture. But even things like Tyrone and Saul and stuff like that, yes, it's just basically adding more layers. Tyrone is still lovely. Do you know the worst part of that? Even I used to get before I got my Duke, which I could step in and out of no problem. I used to have a Rover 45, which is quite low to the ground, and that's what I felt like. I felt like Tyrone because it was so low. It was a case of push myself out, and it's basically that's exactly. So when I was watching Tyrone, I'm thinking, been there. The car's just too tight for me, and it's too low, and I'm having to push myself out. And but his is a slightly different.
Well, then they squeeze them in the trunk.
I know. What about the scene where Bullet Tooth's talking on the phone in the bar? You got the barman putting the pint halfway,
puts it down, and then you see Bullet Tooth picks it up and goes.
And just sits down.
Yeah. And two guys, guns in their face, aye, but yours says replica on the side, whereas mine says Desert Hero, Desert Go 0.05. You're sitting there. And it was the fact that he shouts as well, Evie, pull your socks up. Boom. Through the wall.
Oh, yeah. Through the wall. That was another through the wall was another one. Great one.
Yeah.
What did he say? Check your socks?
Pull your socks up.
Pull your socks up.
So basically bend over.
Bend over.
And it's just the fact that pull your socks up and he goes boom down and then he comes in and he basically Boris gets up again and then he goes over to Tyrone. Who did that? I don't know. And then you just hear in the background. Like, I told you to.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And he goes, he just gets up again. He goes, hold on. Then he goes to Tyrone and goes, click. You lucky bastard, and walks away. Yet beforehand, you saw him reloading the gun. So you're sitting there thinking, why wouldn't he have reloaded the gun? But he's obviously, it's just one of those ones. Lucky to draw. There wasn't a bullet in it. If there was a bullet, you would be dead. If not, you're a lucky bastard. And he just walks away. And Tyrone just sort of goes, does they move? But it is that scene, the whole bit from the beginning with him coming in with the balaclavas on, with the even the bit where he's saying, does it work? And the car, and he goes bang, and it blows the windows out. And you're sitting there thinking, yep, I can see that. But it's the fact is they're going,
yes.
He's just in the car in a closed space and he fires the gun. He sees if the sound is loud enough and it blows all the windows out of the car. I just thought it was just, there's so many bits you're sitting there thinking.
Well, and when Turkish and Tommy are sitting in the caravan there's like 8 or 9 of the Pikeys in there, Mickey's family.
And I want to pin a balloon if you're scarking.
Do you have any idea what in the bloody hell he just said?
And he handed him the brochure and he says,
yeah,
we're going to be here to buy one from you. And we're now going to have to buy one for you. It's for me ma. Me ma. Who's his ma? It's just so well done.
And I've got to say, Jason Statham's narration through the entire film is absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
He could narrate Thomas the Tank Engine if he wanted to.
Yeah. And there is 18 seasons of Ancient Aliens.
Oh my gosh.
And funnily enough, very similar like Deadliest Catch or the Curse of Oak Island. They never find an alien. Thanks.
I wouldn't come here if I were from another planet.
Well, I must admit, if I was going in, I would be going, back. Have you seen those?
I wonder if there's a sign on the edge of our solar system saying, warning, do not enter this territory.
Avoid third planet, it'll cost.
Yeah.
Batshit crazy. I mean, I've uploaded one to Twitter. Basically, somebody had put one. It was a case of the reason a dog licks his arse is because he's probably a bit of a Democrat to get the taste out his mouth. And I put one up and I just put my dog, my Yorkie, with a Star Trek outfit on. And it says, beam me up, Scotty. This place is crazy. Crazier than a Labrador chasing his own tail. And it basically, that's exactly what it is. Because you imagine an alien looking down going, nah, show me more pictures of the dog chasing its own tail. That makes more sense. They must be sitting there to be like reality TV. No, let's watch the human channel. Fucking hell. But yeah. You don't see them now as aliens coming to conquer Earth. They're just coming to clean up the mess.
Oh, God. But anyway, back to the film.
Yeah, never seen you there, I believe that. There's so much of that movie. There's so many small...
Eddie and the sausages. Oh, the sausages done yet, Eddie? 5 minutes.
2 minutes. And he calls him again. They don't finish it. 5 minutes. He says, you said 2 minutes, 5 minutes ago. And he's even later on, when they don't mention it, basically, it's hot in here. What's it hot in here? Playing cards. And they're playing cards with all the nude women and all that. And you see Amy's mouth and braces.
Yeah.
But it's the fact is, you just see Eddie outside and he's still standing there cooking. Never mentioned again, he's just standing cooking. And it's wee silly things like that. You're sitting there thinking, there's no reason for that to be in except just for fun.
Yeah.
So they're paying somebody to be an extra and with lines for what? Just so you can have a wee chuckle. And he's still there in the background. So you take all these characters out, it wouldn't change the story at all. But it just makes it so much funnier.
I like the boxing. Was there 2 boxing match scenes? Was it?
There was 3.
Yeah, 3.
There was the first one where Higme gets knocked out and you see him with his teeth because the only reason you brought him is because you want to put a statement. And then there was the other one where Mickey just knocks him out straight away, first punch, and then the third one was the final fight scene where he kept saying, "Don't knock him out! Don't knock him out!" But
you got to go down.
That third one was pretty brutal.
Yes. Yeah, and that final punch, you just see him go. Ooh.
Yeah, he's in midair.
In midair, it's
slow-mo. It's great.
That was just superb. And I'm sitting there thinking, even with a crash mat behind him, that looks so.
And the thing is, Bricktop had the wall pulled over his eyes because never to fuck with a pikey.
Yeah.
Especially when you
get 2 vans loaded with shotguns and everything, and they're going when it's like, the pikey just laying on, blow it away. It's just, and they do some good parts in it which you never see in other movies.
Mm.
Like you saw it with Bullet Tooth Tony when he goes to hit Tyrone, he goes like that and leans away as he fires the gun. And then you see the Pikey doing it with the guy when he's on the phone. The Pikey's phone is, you need more new guys. And as he does that, he leans away and fires. It's so blood does this splash up. Do you think of any other movie where they actually even do something like that? Look away as they're firing. They don't. They go boom, splash. It's these subtleties that you can imagine if somebody's going to do something like that, they're not going to just stand there and get splashed in their face. They're going to go like that, and it's more realistic, I suppose. It's silly things like that.
And I've got sorry.
Go ahead.
I've got to say, coming towards the end of the film, where it's all wrapped up and the police just turn up, and I'm looking at like, so what are you doing here? I'm just taking the dog for a walk. What's the problem? What's in the car? Seats and a steering wheel.
4 seats and steering wheels, have to say. It's a fucking stupid question. And then they're driving by and they've got the dog going, eek, 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 and they're still not getting arrested. Why have you got a body in the car? It's got a tea cozy in its head. And they just keep mentioning that every time somebody sees it. Bricktop sees it. Why'd you got a tea cozy on his head? Then the cops, why'd you got a tea cozy in his head? It's just basically a question that know. Even when Boris says, why'd you got a tea cozy? So he does the Sears.
The thing is, the beginning of the movie starts really at the end of the entire film. It's just a rewind of what happened.
It's basically him just telling the story. And the story, he's not telling the story to anybody. He's just telling you the story.
Yeah,
because
the fourth
he starts
wall.
at the end, and it's just a case of how did we get here? Oh, well, I'll tell you. Well, the camera just pans round to show you he's back where he started. Where it all started, with the guys who actually did the burglary and basically.
And then that wrap up with after the scene where the Pikeys kill all of Bricktop's guys, because you hear Bricktop's talking to his guy, Turkish, and Tommy come out, and Mickey, and then there's the bang, and the scene stops.
Yeah,
with 2 of them going at Mickey.
And they got just such clever filmmaking.
Yeah.
And then you rewind to the series of events that just happened. And then
give me the gun. I'll give you the gun, you bastard.
Boom. Just fucking so good. It's a very satisfying film to watch.
Oh, it's a very satisfying film because the only ones that seem to actually survive it are Turkish and Tommy, who had nothing to do with the jail robbery except they ended up with a Doug.
Then they rolled back with Doug the head.
Basically, and it was only because they were looking after the dog they ended up finding it. So I want to know is, what did the vet do? Go, aye, we found this 82 carat diamond. What do you want us to do with it? You know what I mean?
I know a guy.
The vet. Can you imagine what the vet's doing now? It's just it's one of these things. It's a fake one. Really? But it was just the whole telling you that we found this in the dog cell. I mean, what would the vet be thinking? Basically, you come out with this diamond. You say,
what else did they find in the dog? They found the diamond, the squeaky toy. I think it was a
half-chewed shoe.
Yeah. And it just makes you, and they said about that dog keeps going back to the Pikeys. It's like a homing
a homing dog. Yeah. How could it get back? Have you ever smelt that Pikey place? But it's just, and you can't get away with a movie like that because they'll never say, "Oh, I hate Pikeys" and the stuff like that. Some of the stuff they do about the Jewish humor and stuff like that. There's no way on earth they would get away with doing that. But that's what made it funny because
it's way too fun a movie. You can't have that fun a movie anymore. Because
you think about it, they did some of that filming down in the area where there was a large Jewish community.
Yes.
And not one of them actually complained. They were all sitting watching it.
Yeah, I know.
And they basically, even the bit with the four kids, they were just sitting watching it as if to say, because they knew they weren't getting the piss taken out of them because the people didn't like them. They were part of a comedy routine joke that showed that a guy who wanted to be Jewish just didn't know what he was doing. It wasn't. It was taking the piss out of him rather than the community, and that's the difference. Is whereas people would just say, "Oh no, that's disrespectful." You can't do that. Then you've got the bit with Solna sitting in the car, and he's going like that, trying to get the rock. What do you do that for? He says, "In case we get mugged." He says, "You really? Who's going to mug two black guys sitting in a car with guns in a car that's not even worth it?" And you're basically, and you're sitting there, you crazy, and you imagine them coming out with a sentence like that now. They would go, "You can't do that." He basically says, "Who's going to mug two black guys sitting in a car with guns in this crappy area with this crappy car?" And then he turns around and goes, "Bullet Tooth Tony and Desert Eagle 0. What are you saying that for? Tap, tap, tap." And the thing is, he knew it was Bullet Tooth Tony there, but when he's standing with the gun to his face, he didn't know who it was. As if, you know what I mean? This is Bullet Tooth Tony. You know why he's called Bullet Tooth, and you know the story behind him. Yet you're actually standing there with a blank pistol threatening to shoot him and saying to your pal, "Go, shoot him."
Right.
You know these are blanks, don't you?
I'm going to share you the place where the jewelers were. So that is where the scene was filmed.
Yeah.
Oh.
And
right there. What's the free
trade,
isn't it?
Yeah, and do you want to know something interesting, Roman? Just up the road here, because I know the street very well. I kept delivering down here space. This building here, you heard about the Hatton Garden robbery?
I have not.
Well,
there is one. There's the Hatton Garden. They actually made a movie about it as well.
Oh, wow.
And they even did one called the Dad's Army Robbery. It was a documentary about it because it was a bunch of old blokes.
So what was unique about the Hatton Garden robbery?
Well, apart from the deposit. Sorry.
It was a safe deposit. Basically, they drilled into it from underground. They had industrial drills that basically drilled holes like that. They just drilled things right into it. And it was all old boys. It was all the old crew of the criminal underworld at the time. It's just a load of the old gangsters, as it were.
And the thing is, Hatton Garden is famous for diamonds and the Jewish community around there. So it is a great link.
Yeah, but yeah, the Hatton Garden. They did a movie, but they also did a documentary about it and stuff like that. But it is definitely a fun. The movie's fun because they've got a lot of the older British gangster actors playing the older British gangsters doing it. So it is.
Got it.
And that's a fairly new movie. But Snatch is definitely one of my favourite movies. So it is. And of that genre, the gangster genre, it's second only to Lock, Stock. So it is.
I need to watch Lock, Stock as well, just like I said, because it's been so long since I've seen it.
Well, I've got two versions of Lock, Stock. I've got the director's cut and I've got the shotgun special.
Which one do you prefer?
Truthfully, I've not watched both of them. I've only watched the director's cut. And I don't know the difference between it. So the two of them will have to be watched one after the other just to see the difference between them. And watch the original cut and see what the thing is.
Usually the director's cut is better, but not always.
No,
sometimes it's not.
It depends what the type of. The reason now sometimes directors get it taken off them is because they put too much detail into a movie. And that comes out, changes the story, and not a jot. The only difference is it takes a lot of expedition away. You don't need out. I can understand that, but sometimes the director has a vision, and you need those extra bits because it tells a slightly different story. Mm-hmm. So the director's cut in Lock, Stock is not bad. There's not too much extra in it, but I would need to see the three of them one after the other to see the differences across. So that'll be a weekend job just to actually watch that one movie 3 times at least, and then you would have to compare them all.
It's a shame you can't watch them on like both on two screens, really.
I can. I could watch the the general release one on one screen and watch the two of them side by side to see the differences. But I can't watch all three because obviously I've only got the one DVD. Oh, actually, I could watch one in a DVD player, one in a computer, and then one on a digital download. So I could do that in 3 different movies. But
that's heavy nerd, man.
Yeah, bugger that. I would rather actually do that with watching Friday Night Tights, Ancient Aliens, and listening to an audiobook, which I have done.
Hey, was Boris the Blade ever in anything else? That I only saw him in this. He wasn't familiar to me, but I don't know.
Actually,
like with Mike Reid, I didn't realize he was a British comedian.
The guy who played Boris the Blade, he has been in a few, and it's the typical Russian gangster. He plays. Where is it?
Yeah, his last name is even for me unpronounceable, and I have an unpronounceable last name, so he's got a rough one.
Where is the Boris the Blade? Jack the All-Seeing Eye, Mickey D. Gorgeous George, that was the boxer I kept getting.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And he was a real boxer.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is the thing about Guy Ritchie. He sometimes gets real like villains in his films.
Yeah. Well, see that guy, the Russian. What's his name?
Rade I can't pronounce it.
Sabedski. Yeah, he's been acting right up until 2022. Die Before Death. There's a couple of pre-production ones in there.
Oh.
And he's been acting since his first role was a TV movie in 1966.
Wow. Yeah, because he was an older gentleman in this, so I'm surprised he actually was still working along. I mean, he's not old, but older. I mean, he's probably our age in this, honestly.
Yeah.
But it is funny, you know.
His first movie was in 1966. I was born a year before. So
he was
even
like
if
20 something. I mean,
even
back
if
then.
he was a kid in it, because he just played. These are foreign language, so I would assume Russian or Ukrainian movies, because a lot of them are all just marked as TV movies. I'm just looking for the first one. It's maybe an English one I recognise. Guns of War. He plays a Chechnik major in it. He's done a lot of TV shows and TV movies. There's very few, and so he's obviously Cyclops.
He's probably somebody, you know, he's one of those guys. Like when I'm going to use a terrible example, so please don't cancel me. The 2011 version of The Thing, which is a terrible movie, and I don't recommend you watch it. All the actors in that, the Norwegians, or were they Swedish? No, they were Norwegians. Who were in that movie are big stars in Norway. We don't, you know, I mean, I certainly didn't know who most of them were, but they just watching. I watched a lot of the behind the scenes, and they're talking about all the actors. So he's probably one of those guys, except, you know, Russian.
Yeah. Well, he's here. He's basically. He was born in Budnik, Croatia, in 1946. So yes, he was 20 when he first started. Graduated from.
He's not that old then. He's about the same age as my old man.
Well, he's 20 years older than me. 19 years older than me. So 50, 60, 70, 76 years now. 76. Anyway, graduated from the Academy of Dramatic Arts in Zabreg. Still a student, he starred in a play, the leading role in films and theatre productions. He's remembered for his outstanding Peer Grinch in the Hamlet, Richard III, and he also wrote and published 4 books.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's quite the fellow. You don't get that necessarily from Boris the Butcher or Boris the Blade.
He wrote and published 4 books of poetry and released 4 albums, as well as directed 12 plays. So
wow.
he's a
holy crap! That's quite a resume.
He was in Space Cowboys, Mission Impossible 2, The Mighty Joe Young, the remake, not the original, obviously. Eyes Wide Shut.
Cowboys. I liked Space Cowboys. That's another good movie.
Yeah. he was in Open Sea, obviously Snatch, South Pacific, but these are all the remakes. Quicksand. He starred alongside Val Kilmer, Elizabeth Shue, John Turturro, Tom Cruise, Glenn Close. So he's done a lot. So he has Eyes Wide Shut, Mighty Joe Young. I remember the original Mighty Joe Young, not the remake. So Mighty Joe Young was my second favourite monster movie right up until I saw Godzilla. Because my favourite monster movie was King Kong, the Fairy one, 1956. And then the Mighty Joe Young was my second favourite. And then they remade it and it was pants.
I didn't know they had remade Mighty Joe Young.
Yeah, it was pants. Yeah. The animation, yes, the thing looked a lot better. But
yeah, but that doesn't make it. It doesn't make it better, though.
Yeah, they changed the story. So they did. They changed the story, and it was bad.
Fascinating. You know, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning. Jason Statham actually looks so much younger in this. Yeah. Brad Pitt, he's got some kind of witchcraft going on because he looks pretty much the same. Brother doesn't age.
Well, that's the thing, because when I first saw it and I thought, oh, this must be a recent movie. And then I realised, nope. It's not that recent. It was a good few years ago. What was it, 96, 98?
This Snatch is 2000.
Was it 2000? I thought it was 98. Yeah.
But it's 22 years ago.
It was Lock, Stock. It was in 20.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. But
and
yeah.
It's just like, wow.
22 years, and look at the difference. Brad Pitt looks exactly the same. Jason Statham has moved on to a different genre.
Yeah.
Of movies.
Yeah. And he's aged. He has aged very well. But you can tell in this movie how much younger he is. But of course, Brad Pitt also had a lot of tats, and he was dirty most of the time in this movie.
Oh God, aye. But there you go. The Hat and Garden Job, it's called.
Boris the Blade.
Boris the Blade.
Villainfandom.com, that's a thing.
Yeah. See, I don't mind the Carpenter's version of the thing, but I like the classic thing because I've got fonder memories of it. The Thing from Another Planet. It's just because I've got fonder memories. It was one of the ones I sat and watched the very first time I sat and watched it. I was with my dad because he used to like those old classic horror movies. And that's
I love them. I love them both. I do prefer the Carpenter version, but I love them both. It's not,
yeah, I like the Carpenter version.
But not the new one. The new one is the 2011 film doesn't exist. It should not exist. Everyone who did that should be exiled.
Yep. It's the same idea as like Wendy's saying there. Used the King Kong fairy version with her dad every year. Me and my mum. Because she used to actually say, I remember when you were 5, the first time you watched that, you cried when King Kong got killed. And Mum, that was 30 years ago. Going to stop telling everyone.
You know what? I did the same thing with the 76 version? I was so sad when Kong died at the end of that.
Yeah, I basically. Yeah, when I rewatched Kong, when I did some clips from it, you're sitting there thinking, see, when they made that, they didn't show Kong in a good light. I know it sounds silly, but you look at the remakes, like when the bit when he actually leans in and gets the girl, and it's not Fairy, right? He just goes and bites her, right, in half, right? But see the original. He took her out and goes, it's no Fairy. So he just dropped her. And you see her. And basically, to me, that is more of a cruel way to do things. It's a case of they just didn't go, well, you have to have him biting her in half as if, because it's a quick death. No, he just went, looked at the woman, and it wasn't. So he just dropped her and continued on as completely forgot. And you're sitting there thinking, if you look at how it was actually portrayed, it was a case of he's an animal, he just didn't care. And he literally dropped her out the window and just let her fall to her death. And you're sitting there thinking, whereas the new one, you know her, chop. And then that type of thing. So it's almost like a quick death. But in the original one, it is weird that the things they did, and you think, and when you're looking at it more seriously, you're sitting there thinking, that's quite a cruel way to actually film somebody dying. And it was just the way they did it because it was more dramatic.
Well, and back in the day, they weren't as graphic. So the fact that it wasn't more cruel death was almost, I would say, irrelevant. But they just didn't. They wouldn't show a person getting bitten in half by the great ape at that point.
Yeah.
There's just it's kind of funny and mildly ironic. I always cry with that. I'm with you, Wend. I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm always saying, I always used to laugh because my mum used to tell everybody when King Kong's on, he used to cry. Mum, that was 30 years ago. And then when you used to go to parties and it was all family members I've not seen you since you were away. And I remember you used to change their nappies. Listen, I'm 45, going to stop actually telling people that. And you're sitting there thinking, right, okay, you used to change my nappy when I was a kid. You had a flash, but going to stop actually bringing it up. I'm 45 now. Stop. And it's fun with basically family and friends. You've not seen it for a long time. But the first thing is, I've not seen. But that always used to start with my mum talking about, you remember you used to cry when this? And
that's great. Thanks.
But, yeah, hello, my pedigree chums. I'm going to start using that for the two dogs. Hello, my pedigree chums. I'm assuming you know what that joke was about, Roman.
I thought it was because we were old, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, when he basically used to say to them, hello, my pedigree chums. In the UK, the dog food is called pedigree chum.
Oh, I
so
did not.
Basically, when he was going, hello, my pedigree chums, it's basically taking the hi chums, hello, friends. It's just doing a Cockney rhyme and slanging it because it's pedigree chums was it's just, instead of saying hello, friends, it's hello, my pedigree chums. So it's taking the piss of the dog food name. See, there's certain things I knew fine well you would have went right over your head, no idea.
The thing is, Roman, I might have to find a book for you to read about Cockney rhyming and slang.
I've got a better one for you to read for.
I've got
too many books sitting here.
We could lose him. He's gonna be over there for a while.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not comic books.
Comic books. Somebody actually posted one about me, and I've got that one. Vietnam Zombie Holocaust.
Oh wow,
it was one about zombies. Second World War zombies, and I thought, no, I've got a Vietnam one.
Now that sounds good. I sent you that link for the Sergeant Rock versus
that's what it was.
The Army of the Dead.
Yeah, you were the one that sent us it.
Yeah, man.
That was that book I was telling you the last time, Twisted Light. I spoke to the author. My daughter used to buy the Twisted Dark, and I was chatting to him when she was buying them, and I said to him, I don't like dark. And the next year I came up and he says, here, got something for you. He says, I did a Twisted Light book. It was the only one he did. So he signed it for me and I bought it. So, and he basically, don't let your daughter get this. She basically, because she likes all the dark, he says, don't let your daughter read this because it's a light one. So it's all the light stories. Because I kept moaning, I don't like the dark stuff. So we did it. I'm just trying to find it. I can't find my patter book. I can't find my patter.
I'm not saying you're a hoarder, but you're maybe a little bit of a hoarder.
Yeah, well, there's a book called The Patter. It's Scottish slang.
Oh,
so,
okay.
like, for instance, geese it. It'll explain what geese it is in English.
So it won't all be lost on me?
It won't all be lost on you. Yeah, I mean, and things like geese it, to me, wouldn't be normally a Scottish word. It's just an English word.
I've never heard that word.
Geese it is in give me it. Geese.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's basically, it's crunching the word together. Give me it. Geese it.
That's well, that's like our Cajun. It's a mishmash of French and English and other, and it's created its own.
Yeah, it's the same idea between English, English and Scottish. There's regional stuff, like for instance, in Scotland, the Lune and Clyne, if you're up north, are Caffin. Even Alec wouldn't know what that is, because that's a very Scottish phrasing, and that's up north of Scotland. That's the Lune and Clyne, the boy and girl, are Caffin. She's pregnant. So when she's calving, she's pregnant. But that's up north. That's up north Scotland. We wouldn't use that phrase, and you can see when somebody hears it down here, they go, huh? What's that mean? What's a loon? What's a Clyne? What's calving?
And it's like pikey, apparently.
Right, pikey,
It's not Irish. It's not English.
Exactly. But it's the same idea. But there's certain phrases up here that Alec wouldn't know. And there'd be certain phrases in Cockney that it's a similar idea as that. And it'd be the same in Cajun. There's certain words that are.
Oh, hell, I don't.
You look at anywhere in America, there's going to be certain places that have got a different word for certain things, but it's only just because it's a colloquialism. So it is. And
regionally, like I live in California. I'm not from California. I live in California. I really need to make that distinction when I bring that up. And for the most part, California doesn't have an accent. They have that pretend one that people like to talk about, the valley people, and the surf lingo. Yeah. But it's really a very flat language. Now, I'm from New England, where you actually do have accents. New York has a different accent than Maine, which has a different accent than Boston. And the South is the South. It's kind of its own critter. And yes, they do have different. They call things different things. But pregnant is still pregnant.
Yeah, right, there you go. Smudger, basically, my gran used to say, "You're looking a wee bit peely-wally." Well, we sort of expanded on that, you see, because if I was ever looking peely-wally, as in very pale, I was a peely-wally tally. As in, because my surname is Italian, I was a peely-wally tally. But then again, one of my friends used to, when I was drunk, she used to call me a high tiddly-eye-tie. Because when I was drunk, I was basically out of my head, so I was high tiddly. And an eye-tie, same idea, Italian. A high tiddly eye-tie, or else I was a peely-wally tally, depending. Usually, after being a high tiddly eye-tie, I was a peely-wally tally in the morning. But you see what I mean? A peely-wally.
Being drunk, I would actually this would make even less sense, which is almost remarkable.
Yeah.
Villain's head accent.
It is one of those things. It's just like, as Smudger says, his gran used to say, "You're looking a bit peely-wally." That is what we would say, is because you were peely-wally, as in you look pale. It's just colloquialism, and it's the same idea as Mikey the Pikey. So when he was going on about, you get my caravan, you know what I mean, a skirt cushion down a periwinkle blue, I understood what he was asking for, because he wanted his mum to get a caravan which had scatter cushions, which was colour periwinkle
blue.
Aye. But it was the way he said it, you know what I mean?
Well, and it's so fast. That's the other. It's just so fast. If it were slower, it'd be easier to pick out all the words instead of the general impression.
And Brad Pitt did it so well, and that was the thing about it. He wasn't going like we would do, going, "I had very hair, could hear about how hair." As in just making it sound like words. He was actually saying it in a way that you're going, huh? But if you, as you said, slowed it down, you can hear the words.
Here's a Cockney rhyming slang for. Oh, I can't remember that. If I say it's PJ, you'll probably know what I mean. Did you know she's up the duff?
I do not know what that means.
It means she's pregnant.
She's up the
also
duff.
Still pregnant.
Yeah,
pregnant. She is pregnant. So yeah, if you're up the duff, you're pregnant. But it's the same idea. Like a lot of the Cockney layman slang. If you look at the people who don't really understand it, they'll go, "You're way up the apples and pears," as if that's all Cockney layman slang is.
Or say, "Give us your bees and honey."
Or a titfer.
Yep.
You know what a titfer is? I'll give you a clue. I did a video about.
There's a bad joke that I'm already thinking about.
No.
But it's
a titfer. I did a whole video about titfers today.
Was that after your hat video?
No, that was
it was a hat.
A tit for tat hat. A tit for tat. That's why it's called a titfer. It's a tit for tat, as in a hit for a hit. A tit. If you're having an argument and somebody else is arguing back, it's a tit for tat. So a tit for tat is rhyming slang for a hat.
Yeah. See, the thing is, Roman, you've got to go back and listen to the Italian Jobs, Self-Preservation Society again to understand.
Yes, because it's the same idea. Watching that, it's the same as if you're watching. There's one about whiskey.
Whiskey Galore.
Oh no, Whiskey Galore's one, but that's basically this. Even the remake. The remake's not as good. The original was better. The 1956 original, the Whiskey Galore, fantastic. It's about a wee island in Scotland finds a ship, it's run aground and it's full of whiskey, and the revenue man comes to get it back, and it's about the whole island. Basically, Whiskey Galore. But there's one about whiskey, and there's an Iron Brew. It's based in Glasgow, and people go to a whiskey place and try and nick this really expensive whiskey. And it's a lot of Scottish accents. It's watching Trainspotting. You ever heard Trainspotting? Ewan McGregor's in it.
Right. It's a drug movie.
It's a drug movie, but that's Scotland. That's based in Scotland, based in Glasgow, Edinburgh. It's the accents in that are very similar. You can also hear one with John Gordon Sinclair and Dee Hepburn. Is Gregory's Girl is another one based in Scotland, but that's basically Cumbernauld. That is an old one, and it is corny if nothing else. But yeah, there's certain ones you have to watch for colloquial language. And see, the guy did John Gordon, the Gregory's Girl. There's bits in that you're sitting there thinking, huh? There's a bit where they're in it's about a school, secondary school, and this guy fancies this girl, but this girl doesn't fancy him, but her friend fancies him, so they use a way to get the two of them together. But so in the secondary school, it's not like an American secondary school where you've got all the jocks and all that. It's just you have got groups, but every so often there's a penguin, a guy in a penguin suit walks by, and somebody shouts at him, "You're going to the wrong place," and you're sitting there thinking, what's that penguin got to do with this movie? Nothing.
Nothing.
It's just something in it. Every so often, somebody on the middle of a monologue, they'll turn around and go, "Hey, you shouldn't be out there, go there." And then they go back to saying what they're saying. You're sitting there thinking, what the hell does that penguin got to do with this movie at all? Nothing. And that's bits. It's like this. There's bits in it you're sitting there thinking,
oh, that's like Eddie and the Sausages.
Like Eddie and the Sausages. It means nothing, but it's just there, and it's something weird that you're sitting there thinking, huh? But it's fun, and that's the thing about it. It's the same idea. So, but there's other movies out there. There's loads of movies like that, and I do like all my old classics, so that's why I like them. And Gregory's Girl, the reason I love that is because I was a big fan of Altered Images. So I was, and the Kachansky from Red Dwarf. So I was. Yeah. Dee Hepburn was in it. She was meant to be the big one in it. She was not the one that I liked. I liked Claire Grogan. I was a big Claire Grogan fan. I had all her albums. I Should Be Happy, Altered Images was one of those ones. It was quite weird songs. Happy Birthday and I Should Be So Happy and stuff like that. But she was in Red Dwarf later on, but she started one of her first films was Gregory's Girl. And that's why I like that.
What year is that? Or approximately?
Oh, I think Gregory's Girl
What
was...
decade? What
Early
decade?
80s, late 70s?
It was the 70s, aye.
Yeah.
It was 77 or something like that. Maybe a bit later, 79. But Gregory's Girl, let's see, Gregory's Girl.
Because you told me about that other film John Gordon Sinclair was in. What was it?
Oh, that's the one about, it's called Sink.
Yeah, the kitchen sinks.
Aye. The Gregory's Girl was 1980 on the button.
All right.
Yeah, but the John Gordon Sinclair was in another one called Sink, which is on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's called Sink, and it's a Glasgow one as well. And it's literally just SINK. Sink was the name of the movie.
Another thing we've got to introduce you to, Roman, Rabsy Nisbet.
Oh, yes.
And also not chewing the fat.
Still Game.
That's it.
Still Game. If you want to see one that is a big hit at the moment, there's Still Game episodes out there.
Yeah.
There's even they're actually starting now. There's Americans doing reaction videos to watching it for the first time. So it is. It's about a group of pensioners. The people who play the pensioners are in their late 30s and 40s, so they're all done up. And it's basically about old Jack and Victor, and Isa as the wee nosy neighbour. But oh yes, if you get a chance, Still Game. There's full episodes out there on YouTube for free to watch.
It's always nice when YouTube does that, when it's working for good instead of evil.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Think is another one that I watched on YouTube again. That's free as well. Oh. But there's just so much we need to catch up. It's the same idea. There's so much. Even I think they're thinking, no, seen that one. I want to see that one. Mm-hmm. And I think I've seen quite a lot of movies, but some people actually suggest something. I think, oh, never even heard of that one. And I want to do it. Cor Blimey, Governor. Leave it at. Going to the Carvey. The Kemi Carvey. See, the Kazi, I would have said there's no R in it. It's a Kazi. Some people say the Kazi, but I would say it's just Kazi. I'm going to the bog.
Know what we're talking about.
the smudger put down, it says going to the Kazi. The Kemi Kazi, it's a portaloo. It's like me saying I'm going to the bog. A porta potty, we call it a portaloo. But if you're going to the Kazi, it's the same as saying going to the bog or going to the loo.
Or the throne.
See, Lou I got. I remember Lou from probably British war films is what I think I remember it from.
Oh yes, dear old Lou.
Yeah. There's so many bits. I've actually Still Game, you can get I put some bits up. See the guy who played in The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings. One of the hobbits in Lord of the Rings.
What, Ian Holm?
He was in Still Game. He basically is a Glasgow actor. He started the same as Peter Capaldi was in Rabsy Nisbet, because he worked in Glasgow, the BBC studios and stuff like that in Glasgow. I met Peter Capaldi in the pub in Glasgow, and I didn't know he was going to be Doctor Who then. I just recognised him.
And you didn't know he was a Doctor Who fan at that time?
I didn't know he was a Doctor Who fan. I knew he was an actor because I'd seen him in things. He used to sit at the end of the bar having a drink in the same bar as I used to drink. But there you go.
That's an autograph missed, isn't it?
Oh, Still Game. One of the best characters in Still Game is Mina.
Mm-hmm.
Mina in the shop. She doesn't speak English. You never see her face. But she's one of the best characters on the show. She speaks in Urdu or in Indian dialect. She never speaks, and it's always subtitled.
Yeah.
Her husband is Naveed, who runs the shop, and he's been taught English, Scottish swear words from day one. Away you go, ya dauber. Was one of the first ones he did, because they did a backstory where they first met Naveed, and he didn't really speak English, and they were teaching him all the English, all the Scottish swear words like ya dauber.
Well, I want to bring it down south a little bit. Roman, you've never seen a Carry On film, have you?
I've not.
I posted it on Twitter the other day because of that. What they said about Dick Turpin. The complaint.
Oh no, I saw that part. I saw your post because they found his name, the name offensive.
Yes.
No dick for them.
I know. But the thing is, I had to post the trailer for Carry On Dick. And
did you hear?
That.
You know what? Somebody's actually complained to the Dick Turpin Society.
Oh, they haven't.
They have. They have actually said it's offensive and it should be changed to the Richard Turpin Society.
Yeah. It's not. It's not.
That's what they've said. Literally, they've effectively, the Dick Turpin Societies went, bug off.
Yeah. What about Dick Van Dyke? Why haven't they silenced him?
No, but it's not nothing to do with the Dick Van Dyke, because Dick Van Dyke is a person's name. I know it sounds crazy, but it's because people are going to the Dick Turpin experience. And that's because they're saying, no, if he's named, if he was an actor called Dick, that's different. It's because they can't take kids to the Dick Turpin experience because it's offensive.
Yeah, well, it's either that unless you ban the London Dungeon.
I know, it's just crazy. It's nuts.
I know.
What a bunch of Richards. Yes, correct.
Completely off their Richards.
Yeah, that one just writes itself.
Oh, the best one I ever heard. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate. The guy's name was Richard Hand. He never liked his name being shortened. Anytime you would even suggest, even if you called him Rick, he did not like it. It had to be Richard. And I could quite understand. One of my dad's best friends was called Francis. Francis Norman Stein. And he always
that's just mean. Oh my God.
His dad wanted him called Francis Norman. And he didn't mind. He used to Frankenstein. Francis Norman Stein. Frank N. Stein. He loved it, but I can understand why other people go, no, my parents, it'd be like you. I mean, if your name was something like Fifi Trixie Bell or something stupid like that, eventually you're going to want to change your name. But I can understand why some people like it. But that's just a load of malarkey.
I know. It's not to say, it's just it feels like that the Cockney rhyming slang language and it is slowly dying out now.
Yeah. See, a lot of slang is dying out, and it's literally because it's the languages are becoming more
homogenous. We're all speaking the same basic crap.
Yes, because we're all watching the same stuff, so it's basically everything's going across. Because even when you used to watch BBC or ITV and stuff like that, they had everybody spoke BBC English. That was not how people spoke across the land, never mind the country. That was BBC English. And then they started having regional ones. Yep. And then you could still hear them reading in BBC Scottish or BBC Manchurian and stuff like that. So although people still had a stronger accent, the language was very easy to understand, doesn't matter what part of the country you came from. They just had a slight accent when they were doing it. Now you get ones where like you got things like Ramsay Nesbitt. When that was shown down in England, they showed it with subtitles.
Oh no.
They showed a Scottish program with people speaking English.
That's
in
harsh,
England
dude.
With subtitles.
Oh.
Nowadays, still game. The accents are not much different. However, because they are more understandable. So the accents, the language is easy to understand. They don't do the subtitles anymore. So that's funny. They did subtitles. Yes.
Well, the thing is about Ramsay Nesbitt, it's the way he portrayed the character. You wouldn't expect Gregory Fisher to do that.
Yeah, it was it was a work dodger. Let's say he was always on the brew. He was on the brew on the panel. He didn't like to work, and he was always finding ways to get more handouts, more brew money.
Yep. And you had David Tennant as Davina.
Yeah, David Tennant played Davina, a barmaid.
What?
Yeah, Davina. You had Jamesy. Always had he always had a bottle of Iron Brew in his pocket. So he did. And he was always chasing the women. You had his wife. You had his wife Ella with a beehive. The hair was up in the beehive. You had Rab's wife, Mary Doll. All right, Mary Doll, how you going, doll? That was his wife, Mary Doll, as Rab used to call her. He would come in drunk. All right, Mary Doll. Ho ho. Where's my wee darling? And the stuff like that. And it's just, and if you want to see something really good, we used to do every Hogmanay, every New Year's Eve was, the name just went, boom, God. It was no tune of fat. Come on, buggery. The name's gone. I hate it when it happens. Come on, people. What was it called? It had Ricky Fulton in it. Somebody out there must remember. I need to go and think. That is really terrible when that happens. The name just goes.
Yeah.
It was all Scottish. You had a lot of Scottish actors in it. You had Super Cup. Okay, Stirling, out the car. Come on, guys. What's it?
Was it a sketch show?
Aye, it was. It was on every Hogmanay at just after midnight or just before midnight. It led up to the Hogmanay.
Naked Video?
No, Naked Video was another good one. I was actually in Naked Video. Come on, Smudger, you know what I'm talking about. Ricky Fulton, Super Cop, OK Stirling, out the car. Reverend I Am Jolly was on it. No tune of fat. Oh, God. Not Naked Video. Naked Video was good. I even actually, I saw Naked Video being recorded.
I'm unfamiliar. It's another which
is a limey. I thought he was a Scotsman because basically some of the stuff he was saying, I thought he was Scots, but he says he's a limey. Not only an excuse, I'll need to dig it out. Do you know what I'll do? I've got my
poor PJ.
I hate that when that happens. The dogs are going nuts because my wife is just coming in.
So it's like you may be. I thought you were being invaded.
No, that's my wife. She was out working. Right. Begins with an S. I know it begins with an S, so I need to go down my video list. It's not still game. I want to buggery. It's terrible when I'm actually trying to find it.
Scotch and Wire.
Scotch and Rye. Scotch and Rye. Thank you very much. As soon as you said it, Scotch and Rye. Thank you, Darren. Scotch and Rye. If you want to see it, because that was all Scottish humour. That was earlier than Naked Video. You've got Ricky Fulton. He does Reverend I Am Jolly. Fucking hilarious. He does Super Cop. He's a motorcycle cop and he basically pulls people over. He's had some big names. He's had people who were in TV shows. Like, for instance, he pulls, OK Stirling, out the car, and Mick McManus comes out. He goes, what's your name? He says, Taggart. He says, what's your first name? He says, Chief Inspector. It's basically because he played Taggart in the TV show Taggart, so he was on playing his character with the Super Cop.
Yeah. I'm just going to go back to the film here.
Yeah,
Snatch.
That's a surprise.
Imagine Snatch, but set in Glasgow.
Oh, that basically, yes, I would like to have seen that. But there is some movies. Do you know one movie that was set in Glasgow, has no Scottish accents or nothing? It had Morgan Freeman, Bob Hotchkiss, and Jet Li. No, Jet Li. Jet Li. Danny the Dog, it was called. It was also called Unleashed. It was also called Unleashed. That was set in Glasgow.
No, Jet Li was the fighter.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
Jet Li, okay. He basically played Danny the Dog. It was called Danny the Dog, but they renamed it to Unleashed. Morgan Freeman plays the blind piano teacher, and Bob Hotchkiss plays the gangster. And that's set in Glasgow. There's a few places. There's a bit where you see the car coming around and they get out. That is just a wee lane that you can't actually get through, and how they got the car back out of that, I was a surprise. And that's Sloan's Bar, and I used to drink in there as well. You see them up at the back end. You see them up at the top of the town, the modern art school and stuff like that. So that's another one. It's either called Danny the Dog or Unleashed. It used to be called Danny the Dog. I've got both versions. It's the same movie. It's just the same idea. They rename them every so often.
See, a movie like Snatch, you making an American version really wouldn't work.
I know.
For a lot of different reasons.
Making a Cajun version might work.
You have to have a language that that you have to really work at to understand. I mean, Pikey is a form of English, a form of, although whereas Cajun is really more not. Like I said, that's probably more French.
It's a mix of French and English.
But it's definitely a hodgepodge language. I mean, Pikey, I suppose, is similar. It's just the way it's the accent comes across is just very peculiar. But just even a lot of the gangs, like the mob guy coming over from America going to Europe. Put that in reverse where he's having to come from somewhere else. Does it work as well? Not necessarily. I mean, a lot of things would be fine. The dog fights, the pigs, all of that stuff would still be fine. But I think I don't know. There is British humor in it, which is good. I mean, Tyrone could be Tyrone anywhere.
But I think there's certain movies that as soon as they move them, like Mean Machine, I didn't like the remake, The Longest Yard, but I definitely did not like the British version because with soccer doesn't work or football doesn't work the same because football's not a contact sport. So you can't get away with I broke his fucking neck. I think I broke his fucking neck. Whereas in thingy, yes, you might. I broke his leg. It's because I've tackled him a bit harder, but you're not going to get the same idea where somebody just goes boom and clothesline someone. It's without a penalty being called. So you're not meant to touch like that in football. So American football, you get away with it. Right, a silly question, Roman. You should be able to answer that. Right.
I hope.
You call football soccer.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. You call football soccer. Right. We call what you play American football. What do you call it?
Football.
See, there you go. We call that American football. Although
football is football, baseball is baseball. Your football is our soccer. Rugby is rugby because there's not really another version of that.
Well, there is. It's called American football without pads.
No. Well, the rules, I actually have a really hard time.
The rules are different.
Rugby.
Yeah.
I've watched it
you're
before.
Trying to pass it forward, whereas in rugby you have to pass it back.
Yeah, it's just I still don't understand rugby. I've watched it before. I think the longest I watched it was in, oddly enough, a place called the Irish Village in Dubai. But we were there for one of the big matches. It was Ireland versus someone, and I don't remember who, probably because I was drinking a lot. It was many years ago. But I didn't understand it then either. But we all cheered, and it was still a fun time. Cricket I don't understand cricket either. And I think those are the only
cricket is
what else do you guys do?
Cricket's like baseball on Valium. Rugby is like American football, but for hard men, not wussies, because they don't wear any padding. So you get two guys go crunch. They've got their helmets on, all their padding on. In rugby, that's just a tackle. None of that padding stuff.
Yeah, how many heads get cut open and broken noses and all this?
Oh, you see them there, basically the blood going down, and they go, next, a scrum. and they just.
But to be fair, I don't watch American football either. I'm not really a sports enthusiast. As you, I mean, I do. This is the stuff I do. I'm
I don't watch
kind of a nerd. You may have figured that out by this point.
I don't watch sports at all. Neither do I. Know bits about them, but I don't watch any sport.
And I tried to take my son to a baseball game once a year. We haven't gone in a couple of years for obvious reasons. And that's about the extent of my sport viewing. I don't basketball. You guys don't really have a version of basketball, do you?
Netball.
Basketball.
Netball is the nearest, and it's a female sport.
And I really hate basketball. It's like one of my.
There is no backboard in netball.
Oh, okay. You just got to get it in the hoop.
Yes, and it's higher up. It's higher up. You can't dunk it.
Yeah, it's like with ice hockey and hockey, isn't it? It's pretty much.
Yeah, it's like so. Hockey and soccer, I think, are similar. In my brain, they're similar sports played on a different platform.
Hockey is like shinty.
You're making up words now. Stop it.
Shinty is an Irish game. Basically, it's played almost like a football pitch, but instead of the goal, they've got the H, same idea as a goal. So you've got a goal, like a soccer goal, but you've also got the H, like an American football or rugby H. And shinty is a ball that you use a stick to pick it up and hit it.
Oh,
so you can
like lacrosse.
Like lacrosse, but that's shinty, which is obviously is played by real men, unlike lacrosse.
I don't even know anything about. I've seen my daughter actually played lacrosse when she was younger. That was like
I've only seen
she played it for about that long.
Do you know the only sport I would watch daily?
Boxing.
I would watch. No, don't like boxing. Kabaddi.
Now you're making up words again. You keep doing
this. It's an Indian sport.
Yes.
Kabaddi.
Oh, basically,
you get two teams to hold hands, and basically, one person comes across the line, and they've got to touch people and get back across their line without getting trapped. If you get touched and the person returns, you leave the pitch, and it's down to the last person standing. But the thing is, when you cross the line, you have to hold your breath. And to prove you're holding your breath, you have to say kabaddi, 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 kabaddi constantly as you're doing it to prove that you're not breathing in and out. So you've got a time limit, as in how long you can hold your breath. And what they do is the defending team step back, but they all hold each other's hand. And as the person comes in, they try and go boom and clamp and jump on them. There's males and female team, and kabaddi used to be shown in Sundays in the UK, and I loved it. That's the only sport I would watch, kabaddi, because it's like TIG with a harder team. You know what TIG is?
I don't.
Call it. What would you call it? Tag.
Oh, just like when you're right, tag, you're it, and you got to avoid the
we
guy.
Call that tag. Well, you imagine playing tag, and you've got a pitch. You're not allowed to go out with the pitch, but you have your team sends you forward to tag someone. But the problem is, if you tag someone and don't get back, and you get captured and held without going across the line, you're out, and then your team is one less. But if you tag someone, and you could tag 5 people and get across the line, and those 5 people are out. Kabaddi is a superb game. That's the only sport I would watch. It's an Indian sport. It's not played in the UK at all.
See, I actually liked boxing. I'm not really up to speed on anybody in the game anymore. I watched it a lot during like the Mike Tyson era, back when you could watch it on HBO every week and it was free. That was before the pay-per-view, and they were making $1 billion off of these things. Although I would have loved to have gone to one of the bare knuckles matches that was in the movie.
Yep. Yep. Oh, and Smudger says they're missing the Welsh and Scots representation. Yes. Not necessarily. That Ewen Bremner has been in Scottish movies. I think he is Scottish. Although the accent you can hardly tell because it's a mellowed down accent, but he's Scottish. So he has. So you've got no Welsh representation. So
we had American representation.
Yeah, there you go. When she used to watch US FB. FB, what's FB? Fastball? Yeah, but that's the thing. It's just my dad, I didn't know he was a Celtic supporter until I was in my 30s. Because when I was young, when I pretended I liked football, I supported Rangers and my brother supported Celtic. Growing up, my dad always said he supported Clyde because he didn't want to influence his two sons. I only found out when I was in my 30s, when he knew I didn't care about sports, that no, he didn't actually. He used to play for Clyde, the amateur side of it. He used to play for it. However, he didn't support Clyde. He was a Celtic man. He'd always been a Celtic man. He just didn't tell me and my brother, so we didn't follow my dad's decision. We made our own decision, like a parent should do.
It's good parenting.
The fun thing about my brother is my brother's a Celtic supporter. His wife is a Rangers supporter. His son is a Rangers supporter, and his daughter's a Celtic supporter. So when the two of them are playing each other,
that must be a hassle for you.
The forum thing we said. But see, my brother, see if he's in the room with my brother-in-laws and cousins and nephews, there could be 5 or 6 Rangers supporters and 1 Celtic supporter, and he'll be louder than them. He'll be louder than 5 or 6 of them. Sports.
Yeah, I just don't get that enthusiastic about it.
I don't either. I would sit in the kitchen with my sister-in-law when the football's on.
No, we usually will watch the Super Bowl, and that's like our only, and that's mostly so that I can cook and have I'll have some friends over, and we just eat a lot of pub food is what I make, and it's fun, but like I said, none of us give 2 shits about the game, because none of us are football fans.
Good point.
Shove Halfpenny. Shove Halfpenny is a board game. It's basically a table game.
Is it like shuffleboard?
No, it's a table. Well, it's a bit like shuffleboard, but you use a coin. We would call it a halfpenny. You a 2 pence, or you would call it a dime or something like that, a cent, and you put it at the edge of the table, and boom, the edge of the table, and it's to get as close to the other edge of the table without falling off. Whoever gets it close, shove halfpenny.
Well, yeah, it's got to be a drinking game. It sounds like a drinking game. If it's not a drinking game, it should be.
No, basically, it was in the indoor leagues, and the BBC did it because they used to do ones like that. So it is. But then again, it's like darts. Darts is an indoor sport. That was the one we were talking about last time. Remember, bullseye thingy. So, but
yeah, the crowd goes wild when it hits 180.
180. Yep. And you get none in it. Then you used to have the bullseye, which is the game.
League. Yeah. Fascinating.
Look at the indoor league. You have Americans, Canadians are in for a treat. Aye, there you go. That's basically the one that's got shove halfpenny and stuff like that. It's got some indoor games.
The thing is, Roman, we had a TV show over here years ago. Was it back in the 80s called The World of Sport?
Yeah. Dickie Davis.
Yeah.
It was the TV program Saturday morning were a kids program. Then you had The World of Sport with Dickie Davis. Then you get into the movies in the afternoon.
It's not often that I watched a repeat of World of Sport and they have bus racing in it. And
so it was just weird sports.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds. Yeah. See, that sounds like so much more fun of a thing to watch for someone like me who hates sports. That kind of stuff sounds great.
Yeah, but see, that's the type of things we used to watch. But as Smudger was saying, a guy for Glasgow and isn't he into Fitbar? So yeah.
Point Snatcher, our Saturday afternoon wrestling.
Oh, see the wrestling I used to watch. You had Giant Haystacks, Big Daddy.
Oh yes.
You had a load of them, and it was obviously fake wrestling, but oh my god, it was fun. None of the stuff you get now, the WWE. I wanted to see the old boys doing wrestling because it was just fun. I mean, Big Daddy was
wrestling in an age. I watched it back in the Hulk Hogan era of wrestling.
Yeah, well, you imagine a big fat guy out of shape. He was the biggest name. He was the biggest name in British wrestling. Big Daddy.
It's a shame you never had
Bar
the
Skittles.
American...
Bar Skittles as well. Basically, you've got it's like wee 10-pin bowling pins, small ones.
Yep.
They're all piled up, and you've got a hook with a chain with a ball, and you would pull it back and swing it and try and knock the Skittles down. So Bar Skittles is a similar idea to doing 10-pin bowling, but it's just within a square, and you have got the wee ball to try and knock them over. There's some weird stuff. Thanks, everyone. I'm Wen. Thank you. I hope you're all into Arsenal. Village forever. Arsenal is a team. It's not a score.
I don't know.
It's a team. Arsenal, Rangers won. No, it's basically Arsenal won, Rangers won. Although they never played against each other. Scottish and English leagues. Yeah,
are you guys? There's not like a British where everything comes together.
On the whole, but you basically like for football, you've got the Scottish leagues, you've got the English leagues, and you will get there'll all be a in the European leagues and stuff like that. So you so you get the Scottish Cup and then you've got the English Cup. But I don't know if there's one that's just the British. So all the top teams from each of the leagues play against each other. They were trying to create a super league and people went, nope.
Yes.
Because it was all about money.
Oh, yeah.
No, that would never influence any of these things.
So basically there was that much of a backlash. They cancelled it. So
got it.
Speedway, that was another one. I love stock car racing. Stock car racing was my favourite. Watching all these cars crashing into each other, trying to take each other out of the race. Basically going around a figure eight and just go.
Do you remember do you remember they shared it with Greyhound racing?
Yes.
Most Lord.
Most stadiums were shared in this country with Speedway, stock car, Greyhound, or football.
You had a football pitch, and what they would do is at the end of the season, you would have the stock car racing, which would ground up all the dirt. And when then the new season coming up, they would flatten it all down and put new grass down. And then it was ready for the football season again. And the football pitch around it had a track. That's when they would do the races or they would do the greyhounds racing as well. So they were always one stadium for everything. Yeah, but takes us away from it. But big wrestling, when we were watching things like bare knuckle fighting, that was never, to me, it was never something that a lot of people were aware of on TV, but we were never aware of it out with TV. I suppose I never heard of anything like that growing up.
No, neither do I. And that, I mean, it looks brutal, of course, because it's brutal. But it still looked like it was a lot of fun. Certainly, it's more fun like the dog fighting. The dog fighting is like, that's terrible.
Yeah, it's the same as cockerel fighting and stuff like that. Any animals fighting.
Yeah. But it's been a while way back to the past, hasn't it?
They did a stock car with caravan. I remember that one.
Oh yes.
Basically, stock car racing. All the cars had a caravan behind it, 2-wheel caravan.
Lord. That's also a funny term, caravan, because we don't call them that.
You call it was a caravanette. See a caravanette to us. That's a Winnebago to use.
It's a trailer.
A trailer,
like those little ones that they were in that garage or whatever they were in, where Eddie was cooking the sausages.
It sleeps 2 caravan. That's a wee caravan.
Yeah, that's a trailer.
No, see, a trailer doesn't have. It's something that you just pile stuff into. That's a trailer.
Yes, flatbed.
A caravan.
That is also a trailer.
And then you've got a caravanette, which we call as a caravan that you drive. You call it like a Winnebago or stuff.
Yeah,
like
or generally it's just an RV is the now generic term.
Yes,
because there's so many of them.
Of it. But I remember it used to be. Anytime
Mrs. of the Empire's dad has one. Then when they come out and visit, they usually drive that out here from Colorado.
Yeah, but no, my uncle-in-law, shall I say?
It is not. It's not Periwinkle Blue,
and it's not Periwinkle Blue. No. I used to stay. I like staying in caravans. The stationary caravans. I like staying in. Not when it's raining, because all you hear is because it's all metal.
Right, I've got to mention a little story. I've got to tell you.
Is this a Basil Brush story?
No, but I can go boom boom at the end.
Right, go.
Right, years ago, I think it was back in the 90s. Me and the family went to Hastings. Well, close to Hastings, and it was a caravan park, like a holiday resort park. And where we were staying, about a mile away, where we could see it, was a rubbish tip. And every morning we heard the bloody seagulls turning up and on top of the caravans, waking us up and waking up and saying, "Who picked this bloody? Who picked this spot to go to?"
Yeah, so and you imagine Roman stay in a caravan site next to a tip.
Yeah, and you could even smell it and all, which made it worse.
That sounds like that's not a good plan. That's we don't usually position them in such a fashion.
And we just thought, never again.
Never
again.
Oh my gosh.
Cheap. That's the thing. That's why it was so cheap.
Yeah. Oh God. It's just
the Red Bull soapbox derby and real life wacky races. See, you called it a soapbox. We called it a bogey.
Those are just the little racers that the kids make.
Yes.
Yeah.
So America, I heard the expression a soapbox, and I'm sitting there thinking, what the hell's a soapbox? Then I saw it. I thought, that's just a bogey. Not a soapbox, it's a bogey.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a bit of an antiquated, not even term, it's an antiquated thing. There's not much of that in the modern, just for obvious reasons, because they don't need to use their minds to create and have fun anymore. They can just plug in and check out.
Yeah, they can do it virtually. They don't need to actually get in a car.
When we were kids, we would just run around with sticks, and we were happy to have the stick.
Yeah, because when you had the stick, you suddenly had a machine gun to play soldiers, or you had a sword to play pirates.
Exactly.
Or you had a minesweeper. Anything. It basically weird.
I was going to say, and the thing over here, they did play on bomb sites, didn't they?
Yes. When my dad's age, my dad was born in 1933, so when the war started, he was 6. When it finished in 1945, he was 12. So yes, he played on bomb sites, literal sites that had been bombed out. I used to play in building sites. To me, they were the same thing.
Yeah,
I felt basically big bits.
That's what the pikey camp looked like, though.
Yes.
After they pulled out, it looked like that was terrible. Him chasing the dog. He loves that dog. Look at him play.
A shop pulled out of an area, and what the council did, they heard rumours. So what they did was they blocked all the parking areas because they were heard that Pikeys knew there was nobody. The shop was empty and the parking area was free, so they were going to set up. So what the council did was put barriers all the way along, so you could only drive down and you couldn't park to do that.
We don't really have anything like the Pikeys or gypsies here.
They've been here for years, but
I know
it's not as bad as the movies represent.
Yeah, but don't forget
I would think not.
Don't forget, with the gypsies, before they went into the caravans, they had the actual original horse-drawn wooden caravans, didn't they?
Yeah.
That was the traditional gypsies, and then the caravans came along, and that's where it went from there.
Same idea, just
yeah.
Yeah, and
mobile. It's something that can move that you can live in, and it's not. a bit more comfortable than sleeping on your horse or in your car in the modern age.
Yeah. And we've all done that. I've slept in my car before, driving down, pull in, just go, and fall asleep, wake up, turn the engine on, and away again. Done that, so I have. And used to do that when we would go camping. If it was too cold, we would just sit in the car, roll all the windows up, and fall asleep in the car because at least it was a bit of warmth. Any heat just stayed inside the car, whereas out in the tent you were sitting there and it was freezing because wee thin bit of material didn't keep the warmth.
What about when it rained and the tent got soggy?
I hate camping. I hate tents. I like going to the outdoors and returning. I'm good with that. I'm a hiker and a mountain guy, but I don't like to stay there.
The last time I went camping, believe it or not, was about 8-9 years ago. We were going fishing. So I got one wee pop-up tent, just camp, and that's it. We fished until it got dark. We built a big fire, all had a few beers. Me and my nephew finished off a bottle of honey, Jack Daniel's honey. It's the first time I'd tried it, and it was quite nice until I woke up in the morning going, because it was a full bottle, but the two of us.
What's the phrase you would use for that?
I was hungover.
No.
I was a high tiddly eye tie.
That.
Yeah, I was a high tiddly eye tie. Basically, and then that was the only time I in the last 10 years, I think I was in a camp, a tent camping out. And it's because we were away for the weekend fishing. But yes, it was raining. My tent, I know when we used to go camping when we were kids. So when I put my tent up, I made sure there was a bit around it so the water could dribble away. Whereas my nephew, my niece with her man and 2 boys, their tent got washed away.
Oh my God.
So they had to sleep in the van. So they had to go all the way up to the car park where they park and sleep in the back of the van.
That's like heavy camping. That's not good.
Yeah. Whereas me, my tent was fine because I knew what I was doing. Because as I said, I grew up. We used to go camping at my uncle's all the time. And typical kids, even if it was snowing outside, you want to camp? We're outdoors away from the adults. We'll sit out here. This is great. Do you want to come in? No. But
anyway, we want to rate the movie, or
yes, I think we should rate the movie and tell us your favourite part of it.
Okay.
Okay, who wants to go first?
This
Make it a point when you want to go first. You here to take my score.
So, what is your rating system that we're using? I don't think I've ever gotten this far.
10.
Okay, I would give this movie a solid 8. I'm getting a text. And my favorite, I have 2 favorite parts, but they're both are related around Tyrone and Saul. I love the car scene with the dog a lot, and I know these are kind of like off-ball scenes, but they're just hilarious. I sit and I laugh when I watch these scenes, and the scene where they're trying to rob the fight. Those 2 scenes are just so much fun, and like I said, they're related but not the same. And those are my favorite parts of the film.
I can understand that because the 2 of them are funny parts, but I must admit, I think out of all the 2 of those, I preferred the robbing the bookies, just for the simple fact is it gets caught and gets up.
It's just it's a cavalcade of failures. Everything that can go wrong goes wrong. Exactly. And the watching of the video with Tyrone. That part again, it's just all so funny. So that's me on Snatch.
Superb. I like
a 10. I can't go anywhere. It's a 10 for me.
What's your favourite part of it?
There's so many. That's the thing. But I think the scene that really stands out is got to be the pub scene. And, but Vinnie Jones, I'm trying to remember it. Bullet Tooth Tony is having no luck in killing Boris.
Yeah. That is one of my favourite scenes in it, I must admit.
And it's like all three stories were coming. Well, all the stories were coming together just to find, and you had Turkish and Stephen Graham's character, Tommy, just going along in their car, and he just throws the milk out, and next wallop.
Yeah, as you said, it's the stories all coming together with just after that part, but they start coming together at that part. I quite agree with that. That's one of my favourite from the bit when he says, "Pull your socks up, Avi," right up until the point he goes, "Click, you lucky bastard," and walks away. That is my favourite scene in that thing. Just that corridor scene. Die. Just kept going until he went, and then he just went to Tyrone. Click, you lucky bastard, and then just walks away.
And
that's one of my favourite scenes.
And you got Abby where he accidentally shoots Tony,
Tony,
and gets the hell out of there.
That was the one part you didn't see.
Yeah,
and it worked. Not seeing, you saw all the other bits. Like, fair enough, you didn't see Boris getting it, you just saw it from the distance, but you saw the gun getting fired at him, so you knew it was bang, 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 bang. He kept going, and he was getting back up. Even when Tony was getting shot by the guy, you still saw him shooting him, and he still comes up with his blade. But you still saw bits. Even when Boris shot Four Fingers, you saw him go point the gun and bang. You didn't see going in, the bullet coming out. What they do now, they want to show you the gruesome part. They didn't show that. But with Tony, the bit where he's trying to shoot the dog and it's he's just shooting everywhere. And he goes, "Come on, Tony." And then he looks at the gun and drops and fucks off. I just thought that was great. It's, "Come on, Tony." It was so well done. It basically, Vinnie Jones basically kills you. Never seen him. You never even see his body. You know his body's in the car, but only because they said they've got two bodies in the car. But when the cops are talking about the body, they're only talking about Four Fingers. Why have you got a body in the boot? Oh, it's got a tea cozy. Don't mention Tony at all within that. The only thing you hear is, now we've got two bodies to get rid of. So it sort of disappears, but it's just so well done. And I think one of my favourites is the dog. Squeaking with it. I just love that. And I would definitely, this movie, I would give it a 9. Very easy 9. It is one of my favourite movies. It's not my favourite movie because of the different genres, but of this genre, it is definitely one of my favourite movies. Is it better than Lock, Stock? I think so. I think it's a better movie all in. But as I said, Lock, Stock, Snatch, and Layer Cake are 3 movies in the same genre, in the same mold. I think the 3 of them work as a similar type of movie. You've got Rock and Roller, you've got Aces High and stuff like that. They're a similar genre, but they don't have the same feel about them, so they're not within the same mold of that. So I would definitely say Lock, Stock, not as good as Snatch. But
I know.
Tyrone is the secret hero of the movie.
He is. And he gets some of the best lines, like, for instance, we're fucked. It's a security door, and Tyrone opens it by pushing it rather than pulling it.
What's going on here?
From the inside, he just opens it, and then, as you said, "Oh, Tyrone, I know a lot of tits, boss, but I don't know these two."
Tyrone,
go and get him. But yes, he's got some of the best. It's not everything that Tyrone does is a verbal funny, but it's just funny, like getting out of the car and somebody making a joke. But he can run when he needs to. He can move when he needs to because he can't get out of the car house. He a getaway because he can't get away from anything. It's just so well done. But I would definitely give it a 9.
Yeah.
And it's just a movie and a half.
Well, as what Turkish say, we better get out of here before the Germans get here.
Yeah, that was another thing as well. Right, Turkish had the thing about milk.
Yes.
Drinking milk. And he kept going on about the Germans. I got a gun. You're lucky you got it before the Germans. You're thinking, where does that come from? No, nothing mentioned. It's just one of those things.
It's like they had a private joke that you don't know why he's saying it.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically, that's exactly how it felt. And as you said, the bit with Eddie with the sausage, it was just, and there was bits and pieces throughout, like with the dog kept running away and stuff like that. So you knew the dog was going to disappear out that window.
It's going back to the
bike. Was going to find it if they went back. And it was just hilariously funny. Like Tommy, come on, Daisy, come on, Daisy.
he loves that dog. Look at the silly games they play. Come on, get in the car.
Yeah, I know, but it's just so well done, and I must admit, it is just perfect. Shut up and sit down, you big bald fuck. But yeah.
Oh Lord. All right. Well, for me, it's getting to be about that time.
Yes, it's getting to be that time, 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
So I do plan on popping in on Saturday. It's going to be, I may be abbreviated, but I'm gonna be there. I wanted to share some of the clever items that I got over the last weekend. So got a couple of neat things, and then
I've
of course
not picked up anything yet.
I didn't buy anything. These were
there's a couple of things that I'm expecting, but they're still not turned up yet. They've still not turned up yet, but I want them, and I don't know when they're going to turn up.
Tomorrow, I've got my show at 5 Pacific Standard, and we're
going to be finishing. That's 1 a.m. UK time, just so you're aware.
Yeah. And this week we're finishing up the 5 favorite movies from the decades, and we talked too long last week. So this week it's going to be the 2000s, the 2010s, and the very limited 2020s. And so,
2020s I would do because there's only 2 movies I thought were good.
There are a couple. I really had to rack my head to come up with my 5, but I was able to do it. It did take some work, admittedly.
Yeah, my movie that I liked in 2020s was Boss Level.
See, I still haven't seen Boss Level.
You need to see Boss Level. Oh, definitely need to see it. Somebody recommended, I think it was, I don't know if it was Cam or MC or whatever. They recommended, because I said, what movies should I have a look? And somebody recommended Boss Level.
Because I like Frank Grillo a lot. I mean, he's just one of those guys that came into the game really late, but he's a fun dude.
Do you like John Wick?
I love John Wick.
Did you like Groundhog Day?
Oh yeah, and I know the premise of the film. I just haven't seen the film.
People say the thing, but it is John Wick and Groundhog Day. So imagine it like that. Yes, it's there's humor in it, but it is very John Wick doing Groundhog Day, and it is one of the best movies I've seen in a long time for new movies. I don't normally watch.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to say because there are not a lot of good movies out. And that's one of the things that I noted in the cast is that from the 70s up to current era, the amount of good movies has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller till, now we're at a couple of good movies a year. Back in the 1970s, you would have 5, 7 absolutely blockbuster films in a year. Yeah. And now we get 2, maybe, and that's just because the bar is so low. You're really liking something a lot more than it maybe even deserves.
Very good.
Unlike Snatch, which was a really good movie. So,
oh god, Snatch is definitely, it's just one of the you need to see. And
my son hadn't
I've
seen it.
not
And he
seen
really enjoyed
Caliber.
it as well.
Yeah,
I've not seen Caliber, so I couldn't tell you about that one.
I'm not familiar with that either.
I will have a look at it, but
all right.
Anyway, shall we explain to what's got coming up? Or
yeah, right. So Roman, you've got the one tomorrow night for us, early morning, but tomorrow afternoon for you. And what else you do? You also do one on Sunday.
Oh, actually, I think Father Miller's back this Friday, so you and I will probably be on with him Friday.
Yeah.
I don't have anything Sunday, but I have a Monday show now well
Monday.
that I do with my partner John. I actually don't know what we're doing this week.
You basically sort the world out.
That's the John. The name is a lie. That's the Thursday show. So we have John and Roman solve the world's problems on Thursday, which we don't even talk about world problems anymore. We used to. So it's mostly just a lie. And then Mixtape Mondays, where we just is a bit of a hodgepodge. We talked about Memento this last Monday. That was a fun show. We had a good panel. I was very happy with that.
I didn't see Memento. I've not seen Memento.
Oh, Memento's a really good movie. You need to do Memento. It's
I was listening to the stream, but I was sitting there thinking, I've never seen this movie.
Yeah. It's another 2000 film. It's another old film that is just really solid.
It's funny when we're saying 2000's an old film.
Well, I know exactly. Well, it's a minute. And then next Tuesday we've got For All Mankind, right? That's next Tuesday.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, should I promote it?
Yes.
Okay. Next Tuesday at 8 p.m. UK time, we are going to be looking back at all three series of For All Mankind and just talking about the evolution and what could happen in series 4, because it's coming to an end on Friday.
Yeah.
This Friday is the last. Okay. I was like, is it over already?
There's 10 episodes per season.
Because we just got caught up this week.
Well,
so I'm now entirely up to speed. I'll make sure I watch it before Tuesday.
Yeah, same here. I've got the last 3 episodes to watch before Tuesday, so I've got to catch that.
You've given yourself a lot to do.
Yeah, I know, but I basically sit and do hee-haw. So I do. Sorry, I sit and do nothing. When I say I sit and do hee-haw, that means nothing.
I think of the 1970s country western show, so that's where I went with that. I'm like, that's peculiar, but you be you.
Also, for the new subscribers to the channel, Wendology has linked the channel to the FSSI in the chat for everyone. It's a tongue-tied channel. That's all I can say.
And it's not the Red Dwarf tongue-tied channel, just so you're aware of that. So, but thank you everybody for joining us. Next Wednesday is Evolution with David Duchovny.
I've not seen that movie.
Oh, that's a fun movie.
I'm going to give it a miss next Wednesday. Sorry. I'm going to take a break. I'll be back for the Chelmsford 1, 2, 3.
Chelmsford 1, 2, 3 the week after, yes.
Yeah.
So Saturday we've got Let's Talk Geeky, 8 o'clock UK time. I'm aware. And then we've got Wednesday, we have got Evolution. Then next Saturday, nothing on. So only this Saturday.
That's right.
Nothing. Because next Saturday I'm away because I'm missing the Comic-Con because of it. But
you're very upset about that. I know.
I'm very upset about that one, yes.
Oh, poor Vicky.
Yes. And Francesca, I basically wanted to see both of them, but maybe next time.
Yes.
So, because all the other ones at the Comic-Con I've either seen or else I'm not interested in seeing. So Colin's going to be there. So Colin Baker. So I've already met Colin. I've got the pictures.
That's still fun, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not going to make it, unfortunately. But thank you all for joining us. Yes. It must have been at my MC. I haven't seen Boss Level yet. Thank you, Cam. But Boss Level is one to see. I must admit, when I first watched it, I thought, well, it's a new movie. How good's it going to be? And I watched it 3 times that day one.
That's pretty awesome. All right,
I enjoyed it that much. I just went click, 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 just rewatched it. Perfect. So thank you.
If I do that, Mrs. of the Empire is leaving me. So
yeah. I'm saying nothing. She's sitting next door.
Keep it down, keep it down.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, join us on Saturday and thank you for kicking with us. Remember and subscribe because I'm only down to 276. Ho! Climbed. I got a load of subs this week alone and I'm very happy because the last stream I was on, I just hit 200. I was on somebody else's stream on Thursday or Friday night. I went on to the stream and I hit 200 then. So since then, I've got 76. So I'm a happy chap. Thank you very much, one and all, for joining us. So remember, ladies and gents, I'm not old. I'm classic. PJ maybe and the guys out.